CNN Plus, in less than 30 days, is being shut down. It's defunct. And Donald Trump has come out mocking them. Bless you, Trump. Thank you so much for saying what so many of us think. We hate CNN. We're glad to see it go. And I love it. Blue check journalists are like, well, people needed to realize that CNN Plus was the only news streaming service, and that was a bold bet. And apparently people just don't want quality journalism. Believe it or not, they're actually saying that. And I'm like, yo, Fox Nation has been around for 4 years and is fine. The Daily Wire is expanding like crazy, and so are we. Now, we do political commentary, but what do you think it is when Chris Wallace argues with Jen Psaki? Is that news reporting? No. CNN is trash, and they failed, and they deserve to fail. And Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter. Oh. Lauren Southern's here.
Wow, thanks for having me. I'm glad you got that out of your system, Tim.
I'm so happy.
I don't think people realize that CNN, or they're just realizing that it was like the thing you watched at the airport because it was the only thing on. Like, no one's going out of their way to subscribe to CNN. And now we've got conclusive proof of this.
But you know the amazing thing is, the other day, Sheamus was mentioning that it's like nobody watches CNN. So they're like, I have an idea. Let's charge them for it. Yeah. But wait. You know, credit to Sheamus. It's actually worse than that. They were like, nobody watches CNN. Let's charge them to watch our B-sides. Yeah. Like, dude, no one wants to see Jake Tapper's book club. What? Like, we don't watch him as it is. Why do we want to watch him talk about his books? What were you thinking?
He's actually my favorite content creator. Jake Tapper.
Content creator.
There was some, man, I wish I could remember. There was someone on Twitter who was saying that we should refer to all of these media pundits as content creators. Oh, yeah. Just because you can't even imagine anyone referring to one of these people as their favorite.
I got the vibe.
Well, no, because they would get so angry by being called that. Like, I'm a journalist.
That's also
CNN
true.
was
Let's start calling them influencers.
It's just good enough to maybe watch if it's free. That was the vibe I always got from CNN.
Well, it's just the default.
Well, so we got Sheamus.
I'm Sheamus. We just uploaded a cartoon today on Freedom Tunes. This video is currently in first place out of our last 10 videos. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. The audience is currently really enjoying it. I love you all. Go check it out.
What's up, dudes? I just rolled a 21. Oh. Get it going on. It's your 21st birthday today. Happy birthday.
Are you telling me you rolled a 20 and a 1
and it is
at the same time?
It's April 21st. Did you just say? All right, 21 for April 21st. Let's go.
I was expecting you to say, finish that sentence with a joint, not 21.
Yeah.
I just rolled a joint. No, I did not.
No, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that on this show. That's a different kind of show. Love Lauren. Glad she's back so soon. Glad she's in the neighborhood. It's going to be a great show. Let's go.
Yeah, what do we look like? Joe Rogan with Elon Musk?
Right.
Anyway, guys, before we get started, head over to timcast.com. Become members. Because as members, you make all of this possible and you keep our journalists employed, and we actually need to hire many more journalists. So we're looking to expand our news operation. But it's not just about that. It's about our other shows, Pop Culture Crisis, Tales from the Inverted World. Chicken City has become a smashing success. And we just launched our first Chicken City cartoon, many, many more to come. And it's thanks to you as members, all this is possible. As a member, you will get access to exclusive segments of this show. We'll have a bonus members-only show coming up at 11 p.m. tonight with Lauren Southern. It'll be a whole lot of fun. So head over to timcast.com, sign up, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. And now let's read what Papa Trump has to say about CNN. Timcast.com reports Trump mocks CNN and low-rated Chris Wallace over failed streaming service, saying, quote, "It was like an empty desert out there despite spending hundreds of millions of dollars and the hiring of low-rated Chris Wallace, a man who tried so hard to be his father, Mike, but lacked the talent and whatever else is necessary to be a star. In any event, it's just one more piece of CNN and fake news that we don't have to bother with anymore," Trump continued. Wow. He said, "Congratulations to CNN Plus on their decision to immediately fold for a lack of ratings or viewers in any way, shape, or form." Absolutely incredible. Bye-bye, CNN.
I can't believe he just threatened their safety like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's horrific.
I will say Mike Wallace was pretty awesome. That I agree with him with. This is like...
Could you imagine being Chris Wallace and being like, you're at Fox News, and then Brian Stelter walks up and he's like, "Would you like to do a show?" And he's like, "Well, I think that sounds like a great idea." And then he moves over, and then within 3 weeks, he's fired.
I'm obsessed with reading all the articles about his mental state, like the updates. It's like Chris Wallace telling interns to read him the numbers every hour. Chris Wallace having mental breakdown. Have you not seen these articles?
Like he was worried about his ratings?
Yeah, he kept asking them to give him updates on the numbers every day. I would promise you that Timcast has more subs.
Is there? Do you think there are people out there who are like, you know, they're going to work And then they walk up to the water cooler and there's like a dude pouring water and they go, hey, you see that Chris Wallace yesterday? Like, oh yeah, good stuff.
I got to see what Wallace has to say. Every night I go home, what is he up to?
I think the
What's his
definition of
take?
pathetic is when you care about what the audience thinks. That's appeals wants the audience to feel something. That's pathetic. I'm not 100% sure if that's the only use of it, but that's a big part of what that
Pathetic?
word means. Yeah, it's
Really?
Yeah,
That's where-
I'll double check all that. I want to look into it, but that's
I did
something
not know
told in
that
the
is
past.
true.
Have you guys watched it at all? Like,
No.
just
CNN Plus?
CNN Plus?
jokingly
Lauren,
bought a
are you serious?
membership to see
No.
what's
No.
there?
That's not
Hold on,
funny.
hold
That's
on.
not a
Lauren.
joke. Why would we do
You know what
that?
do you know what I can do with $3? I could do so
do
so much
so
that's
many
worth
other
more than
things.
what CNN
I
Is
has.
it
buy
only
soda.
$3?
They cut it in half
Yeah.
because people weren't people weren't signing up for $6.
Within like a
So they
week.
reduced it to $2.99 lifetime or whatever, and I'm just like, do I want a cheeseburger or do I want to watch CNN? And
Well,
I
it's
gotta
not
be
like
honest.
people aren't paying for this. Like Tucker Carlson Originals is taking off. You've
Right.
got lots of these things starting up. It would have to be pretty bad for them to say like, oh, we're not just going to change strategy a bit. We're going to cut it off right now, like 3 weeks in. It would have to be brutal. Like I'd be curious to see those numbers behind the scenes.
It was 150,000 paying monthly members. So if you're doing, $6 a month or whatever, they're not even cracking $1 million per month. So, they got a good amount of money coming in per year, but with a $300 million initial investment, and they were planning on putting $1 billion
It's
into
Warner
it.
Brothers, isn't it? Just
Well,
pouring money into it.
Warner Brothers merges with Discovery, and what they're saying now is they're like, because of the merger, CNN Plus didn't fit our plans, and we want everything housed under one streaming service. And I'm like, oh yeah? If CNN got 1 million subs in 1 month, they would not have canceled it. They would have been celebrating. CNN Plus failed because CNN Plus is garbage, because CNN is garbage, and garbage is not worth buying.
Well, it's not just that they're wrong, it's that they're boring. There are content creators who I disagree with, who I can tune into every now and again just to get their perspective on
Are you
something.
talking about me?
But
That's true.
yeah, exactly. Ian specifically. But the fact is, if you want people to pay for your subscription service, you have to have said something at least mildly interesting at some point in your life. And I don't think you'd qualify to work at CNN if you were capable of that.
Look at this. Timcast goes on. John Nicosia, the former managing editor of Mediaite, recently reported he had sources saying Wallace was having daily breakdowns over the state of CNN. Quote, source, Chris Wallace is having daily breakdowns over the miserable launch of CNN Plus, wants a CNN show or is threatening to walk, they go on. He is having staffers count how many times a day his promo is playing.
Oh, my
Yeah,
Lanta.
pathetic comes from pathetikos, which is Greek for subject to feeling, sensitive, or capable of emotion. It wasn't necessarily tied to an audience, but it was usually because of the way someone else treated someone.
I would not want to be Chris Wallace's agent right now. He's, Chris Wallace on the phone. What's going on with my show?
I have a
They're like-
solution.
Oh, yeah?
You know what I would pay for? I would pay if they moved them, transferred all these people from CNN Plus to Disney Plus and like cast them in an early 2000s style
Yes.
Disney movie.
So
Yeah.
bright.
Or
Yes,
like
I
Luck
love
of the
it.
Irish.
Wait,
Seen that
why are you
one?
looking at me? It always has to go
They
there.
had these like horrendous, amazingly offensive old Disney shows from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Those were
They cast
acceptable.
Everyone from CNN in one of those, and like as like high school people too, since they always cast adults as high school characters in Disney movies.
Chris Wallace, high schooler.
Amazing.
Yes.
I mean,
I'd pay to watch that.
to be honest, I gotta be real. If CNN Plus launched and their commercial was that all of the hosts from CNN's primetime and Chris Wallace would be like, CNN Plus was literally just them doing musicals, I actually would have subscribed
kidding
to
me?
see it.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd like to see Brian Stelter pirouette.
Yeah.
And it's a ridiculous thing I wouldn't pay for in the long term, but I'd at least pay out of curiosity one time to see what they're doing. Instead, they were like, nobody wants to watch CNN. Let's put our behind the scenes garbage that's even worse for money. And I'm like, I don't want to pay to see
Tim,
that.
why are you giving them ideas? I thought we're here trying to build culture. You want to encourage CNN to do it?
Actually, I mean, that might be a hit show. I'm not even kidding. Making them do some kind of musical number. People might want to laugh at them.
Redo high
They
school
will- well,
musical.
and to be fair-
CNN musical.
To be fair, they will say anything for money.
That's true. Yeah.
Will they
Yeah.
sing anything for money?
That's a good
what I would
question. Are they capable of singing? We can maybe throw some
Yo.
auto-tune in there.
CNN, hear me out. I got a pitch for you. It's a show where you get Chris Wallace for 1 hour, you get Brian Stelter for 1 hour, you get Jake Tapper, and they have to read the super chats, whatever it is, in chronological order. So that means like Brian Stelter would have to read exactly what someone sends him.
Mr.
Yo,
Potato.
I just want to say, you guys, we would make $1 million a day from people.
Billions.
Every
Billions.
single one of those person's career would be over 5 minutes into the first episode, dude. Just not even.
So
be-
good.
That's the thing. What's missing is the interactivity between these people and the audience. Like a good journalist is going to respond to questions about what their journalism is, and these people are like behind a glass wall.
But
like,
it's not just oh, sorry.
No, like the first super chat for Brian Stelter is someone would write, "I am a potato, I am a potato," and he'd have to read it, and people would pay good money for him to do that.
I
Well,
clipped
this
that.
is the thing. It's not Ian. It's not just the interactivity of it. It's the personalities you're dealing with. Do you think people would really like write into Brian Stelter? I don't know, like maybe to mess with them or if they were reading it, but I just don't think these people are entertaining or charismatic enough.
Yeah,
Right.
they're parroting a line of lies, I think, for the most part. When I've seen a lot of stuff come out of CNN. The thing is, I don't want to say too much because I can't think of any one thing off the top of my head, but it's felt like they've been lying to me for a while or telling me stuff that's not true.
Whenever I've done TV shows, I've always been like, this is amazing. I just get to sit here and say whatever I want, and people on the other side can't do anything
So
about
good.
it. You just have to scream at your TV. You can't comment anywhere, nothing. I can imagine that feels like very powerful to them, and the idea of ever exposing themselves to to the peasants
Yeah.
in the audience who may throw tomatoes.
And that's
If
what
they're
Twitter
already
is,
or above
basically.
that.
No. Right now, I mean, people are saying things about you, and you do not want to hear what they're saying. Let me.
gatekeeper has
I want to hear it.
I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. You think that you can escape? One says, "I love Lauren Southern."
Aw.
I'm going to smash the like button
That's
for that
horrible.
one.
Well,
Tapped it.
Bad
yeah,
take.
no. On shows
That's,
like this, people
take.
actually, for the most part, it's a bad take.
But it's nice. Yeah.
Worst take of the
debunked.
night. They rolled a one debunked.
Source.
Source.
Source?
Right.
Like if
Source
we're
on
really
that
in
one.
a psychological war, fifth generational war, and they're not using the best technology available to them, they're losing the psychological war. People aren't falling for it because they can't respond. They can't get through.
I think CNN wants to lie, and they don't want you to be able to call them out. If CNN had a show where there was a live chat next to it, and they said it would just be inundated with people being like, "You're wrong about this. You're wrong about this." We get people super chatting us being like, "Tim, you are wrong. Here's the fact,"
great.
and I'll read it, and I'll be
I
like,
love
"Oh
it.
wow."
This is why Seamus is correct. Tim, you're completely
Tim,
wrong
you're
about
wrong.
this.
Seamus
but
is
of course-
tall.
Yeah,
What-
Seamus is extremely tall.
Ian created a trend where he explained that in Dungeons and Dragons, a 1 is a critical failure and a 20 is a critical success. So now every time Ian says something, they either put 1 or 20 in the chat.
It's actually my new Twitter image now is a picture
I
of
saw that. I
myself
love
as-
that.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Oh wait,
That was-
no, I didn't see that. I think I saw you post something and it was a bunch of 20s. Maybe I'm thinking of something
well, then
else.
you should. You go to my Twitter
That's
profile
funny.
and
Yeah,
see
let
it
me
now,
see your
and it is
Twitter
by
profile.
M Stock Design on Twitter. Thanks for making those images, man. That is
Well,
fantastic.
you're about to get some feedback, Ian.
Oh,
you're about to get the
holler.
thing CNN is afraid
Guys,
of.
one's in the chat. One's in the chat,
Oh,
boys.
no.
No, it's not true. Critical miss. No, they're rolling me once.
Well, without CNN, what do we do? Where do we go?
Make another one.
I feel lost.
Well, we're already doing it. That's the reason why CNN is
Right.
failing is because of shows like
We're
this
way
and
better
other
than
awesome like shows where people can interact and relate to the audience, I think, and do good research.
Did CNN Plus, I got to be honest, I didn't actually look, so I don't know if they had any kind of interactivity. They might have. It's a streaming service. It was Wesley Lowery, who used to be with Washington Post. He did this big Twitter thread about how they were the only news streaming service, and it was a huge bet that doesn't pay off because regular people don't want to pay for good reporting. And I'm just like Daily Wire has so many subscribers.
He said good reporting, Tim, not right-wing bigotry. Excuse
right.
me.
I'll be honest with you,
Right.
they could have paid their users to watch. That's another model that may have worked, maybe with crypto or something.
They did that with the airports.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Well-
not really, but they forced people to watch, if you know what I mean.
You know what I think, Tim? I think CNN Plus is actually failing because too many people are sharing passwords.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Totally.
Everyone wants to watch it.
You know what I love too is how with TV ratings they say 100 households instead of 100 people, so that way they're like, well, households could be 5 people, or it could mean that the show wasn't on at all.
As if the whole family gathers around, sits on the couch to watch Brian Stelter together.
Maybe in the 80s. I don't think that happens anymore.
Weren't they disparaging him?
Who?
Like the Discovery guys were like, Brian Stelter is terrible or something like that.
Ooh. I don't
Really?
remember.
I mean, I got to be honest. I can't imagine. I'm trying to think of what kind of person looks at Brian Stelter and says he should have his own show. You like you listen to him and you're just like, we should give him a show.
I got mixed feelings about him. I can't tell. What is the reason? Because when I look at him, I'm like, all right, he looks like when he has that really fake, there's a picture of him like doing the Joker smile where it's like,
Yeah, his
wow.
eyes are normal, but his mouth is
Why
open.
is
I
that?
got these scars.
Did he know somebody like growing up? Did he have his dad was connected to somebody?
My
producer?
father was a reporter.
Like
He
like
worked
Chris
for-
Wallace, his dad was Mike Wallace.
He
so we
worked
know
for the
that.
New York Times,
Okay.
and apparently, like he got a job there when he was really young. Yeah, I think he's the same age as me.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Okay.
Right?
So did he
Really?
do really good
Yeah.
reporting in the early days?
I don't know. He interviewed me after Occupy Wall Street.
Yeah, I don't hate the guy. I just he said a lot of weird stuff, and
I think he's a very, very bad person. You know, he lies all the time.
Yeah.
And he plays this, ridiculous game.
I think when you're on a show like that, people who are willing to play the game and be loyal and not question things are almost more valuable than good reporters. Because there would be so many people that are new hires that just get jaded so quickly by getting that script in. And when you have a Stelter who's just like, I'll read it every day consistently, won't ask questions, lies, don't care, like that's more valuable to these networks, is that loyalty to lies than good reporting to some extent.
The funniest thing about CNN Plus was that it was obviously failing to everybody with all the stories that were breaking. It was like a day after it launched, they announced that they were planning on just shutting it down. And I still saw these establishment journalists trying to promote it. Not even CNN employees being like, wow, really great stuff from CNN Plus. I'm like, no, it isn't. Shut up. It's terrible. What are you tweeting? Like this one guy who works, these institutional journalists, these university professors are tweeting videos from CNN Plus. And I'm like, that's awful. But I'm like, why are you trying so hard to make CNN a thing? Nobody wants to watch it.
Wasn't there a burger review guy
What?
on CNN Plus?
What?
There was a burger review guy?
interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. I'm not making this up. I'll find it. I promise.
so
Keep
forward to
talking.
Well, they need
Say
stuff
more.
like that if they want to succeed. They need to branch out of politics into other cultural issues like sports and
I don't know. Well,
food.
they either have to do two things. All right, stop lying, bring some interesting people on board. Both ideally. But even if they do, I think their credibility has just been so completely destroyed that wouldn't even save them.
Or they could lie more.
Or why didn't I think of that?
No.
Tripling down. Is that what
If they came out and told news stories that were just so shockingly absurd, it would be entertaining to watch.
like the Babylon Bee?
Right.
We'd be like,
If,
we are
like-
no longer a real news network. We are now satire.
Yes.
Like, could you imagine if Brian Stelter came out and
They
was
wouldn't have
like,
to change a thing.
the executives realized that we were on the border of that anyway, so he decided to dip one foot in and see what happens. Donald Trump did a backflip today, and he landed perfectly on target. He dove off of a 200-foot diving board
They need
into a kiddie pool.
like
breaking
techno
records.
music underneath his deliveries and stuff. Like if he really wants his news show to be popular, they got to put like a dubstep underneath him, while he's talking.
I got to be honest. If they launched a show on CNN Plus where it was Brian Stelter arguing with a duck, I would pay for that.
Oh, 1
That would
million
be great.
percent.
That'd be
1
great.
million percent. And then you could almost like super chat in like with Chicken City, and then like bread will drop like when the chicken's really winning. Like if the chicken's really got the best of him, you're like, dude, this is a point for the this is a point for the duck, man. I'm sorry.
But when Brian's winning, you press a button and a donut falls down.
In the 1950s, they would always talk like this, and there was this weird thing. It's like, oh, golly, gee, Dad. And then all of a sudden in the 60s, everyone took LSD, or all these people, and they like broke out of it and were like, why do people sound? And then they started talking normal like we do. We're going through it again with this industry.
Wait.
They sit and they have this news delivery voice that they do. And you're like, what is this theater? This crap, they're behind a desk with a tie on. You're like, what the? And then you see real people talking, and we've shattered that reality again.
Do you
It's
think
like
we
a cultural
should-
revolution.
I should
or-
put on a suit
oh,
and talk like this.
long-term,
Today's
really.
news: Donald Trump did a backflip.
Yeah,
Yeah, weird news
you
voice.
are you talking about the Mid-Atlantic accent?
I'm not sure what that is.
No.
Okay.
So the news presenters, so for one thing, their microphones couldn't catch mid-ranges as well. So they sound very squeaky and talk like this.
There's that, but then there's also the acting style where they were like, oh, gee, Pop.
Well, there was an actual accent that they developed
There's a
at
North
the
Atlantic.
advent
There's
of
a-
mass media. I think it's called Transatlantic or Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah.
And the idea was they wanted an accent that would sound familiar to everyone in the country.
Yeah.
Because there were different dialects spread out everywhere. And so a
Well, it was
lot of public
hoity-toity.
presenters learned how to speak this fabricated dialect. And then it fell out of fashion.
Well, the actors, they adopted what was meant to sound high class by adopting a British non-erotic style of speaking without the harshness of the British accent. So they'd say, darling, where's my car? So the R's were basically dropped. And it was more of just like a taught thing. But yeah.
I would love nothing
Interesting.
more than to see that stupid news speak just completely go by the
when they
wayside.
talk like this to tell you about the story, the
Yeah.
thing that happened today,
what's
it's
wrong with these
very
people?
weird.
I don't
Can
know.
you imagine if someone talked to you like that and really, like, what if you had someone on this podcast like, well, Tim, my opinion is that the drink that you have right now doesn't need those cherries. Like, what?
And Sheamus. We'll hear more in this conversation in a moment.
exactly.
I'd be like, what?
But like, at what point in time was that ever? It seems like one of those things where because you couldn't get audience feedback, they just started talking like slightly more weirdly and never noticed how bizarre it was.
My guess
I
is that
remember when I was when I got jobs when I got a job working for Fusion, which is ABC, and they asked me to do live hits, and I would hear the other people be like, I'm standing here on the ground in Ferguson.
Yes.
Around me, several protesters. And I would just be like, I'm here in Ferguson. There's protesters around me, and people are pretty angry.
That's what I did at my
I don't know why
college
you're
news
talking
channel.
like that.
They're like, but he goes back, he tries to catch the ball, but he didn't. He missed it. I was trying to do the sports at my college. I was just like, this
It's like
isn't
the
for me,
way
man.
Vosh talks. There's a clip of him. He's like, I have been beset by fatigue. I must rest.
Well, I think
Speaking in this.
I guess
when
weird.
it's on the left when we have that study where they talk down to black people. You saw that Yale study. What they like is people who sound smart. So you'll see this with a lot of feminists. They'll write in extremely verbose and confusing ways, and it's like really annoying. Instead of just saying outright like the dog jumped over the fence, they'd be like, a animal of the canine variety made a strong leap over an obstruction in the middle of a yard full of grass. And you'd be like, yeah, it's like meant to sound smart.
Just be normal.
it jumped.
It's like when you're 14
dog
years
jumped.
old and you're trying to write an essay
Yeah.
in your
Yeah.
English class, and you're just
But
padding. You're
they-
like, how do I
we need
reach
to
the
be
word
5
limit here?
Yeah, they give you word limits. That's part of it too. Is you need to fill out a quota of words. If they were just like, write me the best story, and if you can do it in the short, honestly, the more concise and simple you can make a message, the better it is in general.
Yeah, and it's funny because I mean, most of what I do is cartoon writing, but I've done column writing in the past, and basically everything I was taught in my formal education about writing was completely wrong. Obviously, aside from the rules of grammar, but this idea that you have a minimum number of words, you're supposed to make it long and wordy. When in reality, people want what you write to be concise.
I think that we should begin to talk more like this and try to use a style of speaking that is more professional and enunciated, because then people will assume that we are smarter than we actually are.
Wise words.
Well, Tim, frankly, I prefer the newscaster way of speaking. I think it's much more intelligent. Studies show that you're wrong.
I guess that
why no, for real question, like why do they talk like
I
that?
think it all came from the original newscaster that did it, and then he just created a genre, and people didn't. They just started copying him.
He like sustained some kind of head injury as a child, so he couldn't speak normal. And they heard him like, that's how he was talking. That's how I'm going to do it.
How it's like Nirvana came out, and then all these other bands started sounding like Nirvana.
Well,
Similar with
that's
the news.
different. That's because record labels started taking those bands specifically. They existed.
Yeah.
But there is the story of the king of Catalonia. So in Spain, there's the Catalan lisp. When I was in
Barcelona.
Yeah, when I was in Madrid,
yeah.
this is funny. I went to Madrid and I said cerveza, and then this guy goes, no, cerveza, and I went, really? And he's like, sí. And I went, oh, okay. And then I said cerveza, and someone started laughing, and they were like, no, cerveza. And I was like, all right,
Come on,
whatever,
man.
The legend I was told is that there was a king who had a lisp, and so everyone was like, ooh, I want to talk like the king. And so they all adopted the lisp.
And Chile also. Chile es habla, I don't know.
There's
Hablamos.
this is
Something
funny.
like
I've got
that.
a theory.
Oh,
I've
no,
got a
no.
theory. So, like, obviously, journalistic ethics are supposed to be neutral when you're discussing stories. So maybe they just thought if I sound neutral while saying extremely biased, false things, people will assume
That makes
I am neutral on the subject.
Donald Trump is a fascist. Born 11.
Donald
Yeah,
Trump
exactly.
drowned 17 kittens, according to an anonymous source.
If you say it like that and you're not like seething and screaming, then people will be like, wow, newscaster person told me fact.
Yeah.
Maybe
Cool.
you know what would be fun if we actually launched a semi-satirical column that's true, but in like not the right kind of way. So like what I would do is I would go to Nancy Pelosi's office, find a homeless guy near her office, and ask him to say things that were ridiculous. And then I would quote him and say, a source near Nancy Pelosi's office confirmed. So it's like, it's
hysterical.
true, but like not right.
I love that.
Close to Nancy Pelosi's
Nancy Pelosi
office.
eats raw fish. A source close to her
Do they
office
do that? Do they
says.
like go next door to Nancy Pelosi's office, like two guys, and then the one guy asks the other guy a question, and then because it's legal, right?
They do stuff like that, but not that over.
They have one guy go inside the building and talk to him from out the window, and he goes, "An inside source told me."
Source inside Nancy
no,
Pelosi's office.
we're laughing, but yes,
That's what they do.
they
Oh my
use
gosh.
semantics to make statements of fact that are judgment proof.
Dirty.
Yep.
Another theory I have is if you are less human on air, then people go after you less if you're not a personality and you're just kind of like this NPC. Have you guys ever watched, sorry, random pivot, Best of Enemies, Gore Vidal versus Buckley?
No.
Highly,
Buckley is a
recommend.
good example of a
I may have
transatlantic
seen that.
accent, by the way.
Well, 1968, they had these debates on ABC, I think it was. They were like the first live debates during elections, and they just went at each other. And I think they all ended when Buckley called Vidal a. Can I say the F word?
No, you can't.
No, I
we'll
can't.
get
But you can
taken
allude
down,
to
but-
it. There's an F
Yeah,
involved.
there's an F
Yeah.
involved, and then the other F slur was thrown by Vidal towards Buckley, called him a fascist.
Well,
and then
he-
they like clashed, and it like ended. And I think all of these other newscasters were like, "Ooh, we don't want to get that messy. That was like too real for us."
He said he called him the word that would get the stream taken down, and he also threatened to hit him because I believe he
Yes.
called him a Nazi, even though Buckley was Buckley.
He called him a crypto fascist.
Yeah,
so
a
Gore Vidal was a
crypto-
far
Really?
leftist, and Buckley was founder of the National
So
Review.
if it's been that long and this stuff's still been happening, perhaps we're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you should watch the movie. They're like just fantastic debates. We just have nothing like that on TV anymore. That was like great television.
Why
Yeah,
didn't-
he was
why
editor
did-
of National Review.
Yeah.
Why didn't CNN Plus do that?
I know.
Yep.
I know.
You know what would really boost CNN's ratings right now? If they just had on people like Alex Jones. If Brian Stelter really wants ratings, he can bring on Alex Jones.
Do a Gore versus
studio.
Vidal. Vidal versus Buckley, but with Jones and Selton.
And it's got to be in studio where they
Absolutely.
can't cut each other's mics and stuff like that.
That would be
and I
intense.
say do it live, but good luck. But that's what they got to do. If you want to step up to the plate, you guys really want to contend with what's happening in reality right now. Do it live.
Someone just had to keep Lauren away from the whiskey.
I went over there and there's nothing to mix
easier
the alcohol
said than
with. I was
done.
so sad.
What do you mean?
There's
There's,
nothing to.
We don't have
You got
mixers, it's
espresso,
true.
chocolate, and then just hard liquor.
There's
I guess you
coconut
can put
water.
the whiskey in coffee.
I could. I'll be right back.
All right. Let's talk about Twitter, though. We got the story. Elon Musk, man. From Timcast.com, Elon Musk secures financing of $46.5 billion to complete cash purchase of Twitter. So here's the gist of it. Elon Musk made an offer. He said, I want to buy this company. The board did not respond. So he raises the cash and says, I've got the cash now. I'd like to negotiate. If they don't, he'll move to a tender offer where he just outright says, I'll buy the company for $46.5 billion. So everything he's doing seems to be strategic and planned out for some time. Elon Musk filed the SEC paperwork on 4/20. That is not a coincidence.
No, it's not.
We know this man. And so I'm willing to bet with that. Look at this picture we got of him. Look at him. Look at him smiling like that. He knows what he's doing.
love him so
He's got a plan. Oh, Elon Musk is great.
Cheeky.
I strive to be at the point he is. I wasn't the biggest fan of him several years ago and moving forward, but recently, the way he's engaged on Twitter, the things he's been doing, I'm just like, I hope that we can have a company that engages in the kind of culture jamming that he does. That we can get to that point where we buy a company because it's doing bad things and we fix it. But my point is, I think in the next week or so, we may actually see a major move because if he actually makes a tender offer, then they have no choice but to open the floor to bidding because they have a fiduciary responsibility, fiduciary duty to their shareholders. He's ruffling up some feathers, man. At the very least, he may drive up the stock he owns and make a bunch of money off it. But I think he's going to win. I think one way or another, Elon Musk wins this one.
When did he mention that he was coming in on it? Was it early April? Do you guys remember the exact day? Because it was April 1st is when the stock started to spike, or was it March 31st?
Was it the
or something?
8th or something like that? Let me see if it's.
I
in
wonder
here.
if people knew ahead of time that he was coming in on that. But the stock just started to rise from $40 on March 31st, and now it's sitting at like 46.
I
It was
bet
up to
somebody knew.
50. Man, he is the most valuable thing that could ever happen to that company at this point. And for,
Well,
for them to not.
I
Morgan
agree.
Stanley.
Honestly, I think they're going to do everything to push him out because their agenda at this point, for some bizarre reason, isn't to make money. It's to
Some
get
of their agenda,
across. Yeah. But I mean, I can't imagine someone who'd be more competent there. He actually values allowing people to express themselves freely on that platform.
Well, Sheamus, Morgan Stanley is reportedly coming in at nearly half the cost. We'll have more as the story develops.
What an exciting development. We'll be hearing about that after this break.
So is that 26 billion, or what is it, 23 billion they're looking at coming in with?
I think Elon's putting in 21 of his own. Do we have the numbers here? Let me pull
I just
it
got a
up.
message from Michael Robison. Robison, what's up,
Yeah.
dude? April 9th was the day that he announced. Thank you,
April
Michael.
9th. Right. So I think he did it on April 8th.
Is it Robison or Robison? I asked him the other night too.
Well, I don't know.
Michael
We'll
Robison.
call it whatever. Let's see. Do we have the numbers in the actual filing? It's just too many letters for me to scan through at the moment.
Well, there's no wonder that they're not in it to make money, seemingly. You look at the board members that have been published, and they don't own that much stock. There are people on the board that own zero stock of
Really?
Twitter. Yeah, it was published, and Elon even commented on it himself. He's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, 0.002% of the company, and
or
they're on the board.
0.0000. And look at how Jack Dorsey is behaving right now too. He's randomly become based. He's like speaking out against CNN. He's talking about how there's issues behind the scenes at Twitter. I wonder what he knows that we don't about what's happening.
But clearly his money is more important to him.
But he's also in a legal battle, isn't he? So there would be legal implications.
Legal battle?
I'm sure.
Or
it's Robison, Michael
not,
Robison.
sorry, not a
Thank you,
legal
sir.
battle, but he'd have documents he would have signed, non-disclosure, all these things
Yeah.
that he couldn't.
That's
That's what I'm saying. His
thinking.
money's worth more to him. I mean,
He's being
he
real
breaks it in.
subtle.
Yeah.
But it's okay. He's doing his job.
21 billion from, I believe, from Elon Musk himself. 13 billion from Morgan Stanley. Let's see what else. There's 500 million from Senior Secured Revolving Facility in an aggregate commitment amount. I don't know. I think Morgan Stanley's doing 13. He's doing 21. And then there's a loan and some other numbers. But Morgan Stanley's coming in big on this. I think anybody who sees what's going on knows that Elon Musk taking over Twitter is money to be made. How many users have left the platform because of the banning of Donald Trump? Talk about the worst business decision you could ever make.
Well, I think bringing him back on is also a weird decision. I mean,
Why?
because getting in there and just starting making editorial decisions about who can and can't be on the network is not the way to go forward with that network.
Right, you open it back up to people for free speech.
Yeah, that's one way to do it, is unban every account on the network and
Yes.
start from scratch. You could do that and then free the software code so other people can spin up other Twitters with their
Well,
own terms of service.
You unban accounts that were banned for political reasons. Donald Trump was banned because he said things that they did not like. He did not do anything illegal. Anybody who's done something illegal, you don't let on the platform.
Okay. Well, this is a long conversation. There are a lot of things you shouldn't be able to do on social media, in my opinion, platforms that are legal, like alluding to child pornography, for instance.
What?
It's free speech. You're allowed to talk about it and
Yeah.
show, well, not allowed to show
Yes,
images
yes,
of it.
yes. You're allowed. So
You're
like,
allowed
like
to
Gab.
spam people. That's not illegal, but it also destroys a social network. So there's things that you have to
Yep.
go outside of the law to
And you can
attenuate.
block them. And Elon Musk wants to verify humans to deal with the bots and the spam, and Twitter won't take care of this.
Okay, now that's something, because people make new account,
then you just-
keep spam.
That's right, that's
so
right.
they go after like IP addresses and ban IPs and stuff.
And if they did verified only, which you can do when you're verified, you can say only show me verified mentions, so you don't get spam bots. But regular people don't have that, making it a hostile, terrible platform to be on.
Who's verifying? That's another question.
You have to have a connection to an
that's-
official news network to get a verified check mark, which is wild to me.
I got verified because Vice made a phone call.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had like 35,000 followers. There were a bunch of activists asking why I wasn't verified. They were like, hey, Tim's been featured in these magazines and he's a journalist. Why isn't he verified? But why is this guy with 500 followers verified? And Twitter, I actually was invited to a party in Silicon Valley. And there was a guy who worked for Twitter who was there. And I asked him about it. And he was like, oh, it's just we got to get around to it. So we'll probably get you because we're just going through. But it's BS. Vice made a phone call and then I instantly had a verification check mark.
He's lying. You actually have to be a member of the CIA.
Yes.
That's how I got mine.
Right. So
We're big fans.
With Elon Musk's plan, it's if you're paying for the service, Twitter Blue, you get verified. I completely agree with that. $5 a month. And what happens is when you
anyone can be verified now if they pay for that service?
Elon Musk's plan is that anybody who has Twitter Blue gets verified.
I don't know. That's just a social
I don't
network
know
for
if that's
rich people.
helpful.
I agree with it.
Really? But like,
Yeah.
the verified thing is just to detect like who's a fake account or a copycat of a big figure that would get a lot of copycats. So
It'll deal with sock puppets and it'll deal with spam bots. So one person running 50 accounts won't be able to have a check mark on all of his accounts, only one of them. So that right there, what people don't understand is cancel culture works because of sock puppetry. One activist will operate 50 accounts through different phones. So they have different IP addresses and different MAC addresses, and then they'll start spamming you. And other people will have fake accounts to spam you with and lie. Under his plan, a regular person can spend $5, just $5. You can go on, not everybody has it, I know, but the people who want it will get verified. And then you can say, I only want to interact with other people who are verified.
And bot farms couldn't make money off of that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like people don't realize, but literally in third world countries, they just have these farms of people. You can pay $100 on websites to get 1,000 tweets of whatever you want, 10,000 likes. It's dirt cheap.
So there's videos showing how they'll have like a wall with cell phones every inch.
Yeah.
And they're all signed into different accounts. And you'll say, I want 100 tweets telling this person that they're a bad person. And they'll go, okay. And they'll say things like, this is terrible, you suck, this is not it, wrong. And corporations see that and they panic like, oh no, people are yelling at us. We better cancel our sponsorships with the H3H3 podcast because he's bad. And then they do it.
I have a post on Instagram that has over 30,000 comments all saying the exact same thing.
Wow.
It's like, you wouldn't think that's possible. Someone would have had to pay a pretty penny to do that. It's all saying I'm a man. I don't know why someone would pay to do that. True in Canada, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought you had that legally changed in Canada.
yeah, I did.
Seamless.
There you go.
So confirmed now by bot farms.
Pay-to-play social networks aren't my favorite idea.
No,
I understand the short-term value of it, though. But you could still have the CCP or the U.S. government could pay $600 million to get a bunch of people verified and then trick you into thinking that they're not bots.
In order to be verified, you have to pay. You have to have an account where money is coming. So they would have to verify you.
Yeah, but I'm saying that money could come from like a nefarious actor.
Right. I'm just saying Elon Musk's plan is to have you pay and they would verify your identity. It makes money for them. They can cover the cost of verifying you.
Couldn't they just do what Facebook does, which I don't like because it plays into all the digital ID stuff, but you have to upload like your driver's license to have an account, so no one can create multiple accounts.
They do that?
You haven't had to do that on Facebook?
No. I've had Facebook for too
Apparently
long.
the CSIS are just trying to get my ID, I guess.
There's pluses and minuses to both. That whole thing, like tracking you and knowing who you are and where you are, has its value because you're on the network now and people can find you. But the downside is if the government goes crazy and you need to do some Revolutionary War stuff, then you don't want them to know. Like Ben Franklin, if he'd been on Facebook, the feds would have came to his house before the revolution ever kicked off.
Oh, it's almost too late now because the people think like, oh, digital ID is just like linking your accounts with your, real life ID, all of this, like having your face scan, fingerprints, but it's more than that. They can now detect your digital identity by your typing habits, the pressure you put down on your keyboard, on your smartphone. So
Your mouse movements.
even if you're anonymous, living in the woods somewhere, they can detect
why you need
mass data sweep of who's got the same pressure points on their smartphone.
The code of the network. Oh, that's a good point because it's the phone itself. The code of the networks need to be free. Copyleft licenses, so you can see if they're giving that data away. But then so does the phone data. The phone software code needs to also be free, so you can see if the phone itself is doing it before it even gets to the program and it's sensing you. I like this freedom phone concept. I haven't used one yet, but phones like that.
And I would agree, but the question is, how do you get the average person to really care about it enough to make consumer decisions that will cause companies to change the way they manufacture these things and the way they give your data out?
The evil way to get people to do it is fear.
Yeah.
That's been the go-to way for a lot of authoritarian. The right way to do it is build something that is so amazing that they want to use it instead.
I think we could make a cheeky authoritarian government, Ian.
It'd be fun.
It would be really fun. I think we could set
like
it
a
up
good
well.
bit.
I would actually
really good bit.
I'd actually be really interested to see an Ian authoritarian.
Authoritarian Ian.
Stratospheric
He'd be like-
drone delivery, man.
There would be like a guy, like the cop is wearing like tie-dye armor, and he walks up to some dude wearing a suit, and he goes, "Where's your crystal?" It's right here, and he pulls it out and
it'd
shows
be the
it.
one where they're like, "Ian, we want you to be king," and I'll be like, "I'm stepping down," and the software code is free,
No,
just like George Washington.
I mean,
What if they
like,
tell you to step down? You're like, I'm going to be king.
Oh, okay, psychological warfare.
That's right.
Reverse psychology. I'd step down.
Ian
it's
is
time,
the
man.
dictator,
I'm
and
here to
it's
do
like,
what's right.
Once a week you have mandatory DMT. So, once a month you have to do extended state DMT. The guards are wearing like their tie-dye armor with tie-dye guns, and they're like, "Right this way, dude." And they bring them down.
Mandatory meditation.
If DMT was legal, would you do it?
No.
Is it not legal?
I would not.
In the right environment, right certain places medically it is.
Some places like for spiritual, like I don't think DMT outright, but like ayahuasca is protected, I think, under some Native American protection and religion laws and like peyote and stuff. But regardless, I would not.
Dude, what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I don't think I would.
Oh, and
We're a
be
bunch of
entertained.
squares.
Ian, your
Squares.
court system, your judicial system, and the authoritarian society would just be rolling a dice and be like, it's a 1 or a 20, man. It's a 1 or a 20.
We do need an upgrade to our judicial. Our
Guilty.
entire system needs it needs an upgrade. I mean,
They're facing execution. You just look at them. Ever played D&D?
roll initiative.
Yeah.
See what he gets.
You roll in your
dude.
court case like the prosecutor has rolled a 17.
What I want to do is bring American ideals, basically constitutional ideals, to the world, if we could. But I don't want to do it through a war. You know, that's what they've been trying to do for the last 70 years, and obviously it's not working.
You gonna
We saw
talk them into it?
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
bro,
you could
like-
encourage them to change. I don't know. The
Like,
Arab
let me-
Spring looked like it, but they didn't
hold
follow.
on.
We didn't
Right.
help them.
Let me ask you a question, Ian. What would you do to convince Seamus not to be Catholic?
Be my best self.
No, okay. Convince
But then
him.
you'd become Catholic.
No. Wait, hold on.
I
No.
don't know.
All
Catholic
right.
Church.
What is it? I'm asking you a literal
I
question.
don't want him to not be Catholic.
Then how? So this is what you need to understand about the war and stuff that goes on in these countries. You have a bunch of people who couldn't do jumping jacks. Do you guys see that video when we tried training the Iraqi soldiers? They could not do jumping jacks. They weren't jumping jacks. It was the military version, whatever they're called. And they were trying to train. It was the Afghan armed forces. I'm sorry. Did you see this video? And they're like they're going like this, and the guy's like hands up, hands down, and they go and start like swinging one arm. Like they just could not do it.
We could bring Islam and Christianity together. I think Islam needs
Huge
a reformation.
project, no.
Islam's-
hold on,
they
hold
can
on.
come convert to us, but
Well,
Well,
they
hold
work
on.
together.
Christianity.
I think Ian's right. We got to send him to Palestine right away.
Well, I'm not talking about running up to the crowd and be like, change. I'm just saying that I think there needs to be like a cohesive, unification of
You
the
guys-
concepts.
We're
You
gonna
guys- you
have
guys
a
ever-
hot take. Christians have more in common with Muslims than they do with atheists in America.
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
Allah.
Absolutely.
Well, on
But they
some
don't
issues,
realize
but, well,
it for
hold
some
on. This is where it gets on some matters, but then a lot of atheists are running around with Christian moral foundations and just don't realize it.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about like that step between I don't believe there's a greater power that controls our civilization and life and soul to I believe in God, and that dynamic is so big that,
Monotheism. Yeah, Judaism as well. It's all wrapped into this
Yeah.
monotheistic concept.
It's not even it's not even about monotheism in my opinion. It's about believing in something greater than you.
yeah.
That's it. Whether it's the rights of other people, whether it's a god or an afterlife, it feels like very much what separates the left from the right in the modern context is whether the world is about you or the world is about everyone.
I liked Martin Luther because he seemed to see that it was about his connection to God directly and less about going through a church. That I liked a lot. If we could bring
So-
that to Islam as well, I like that.
Why
But Christ built a church.
Why does the media lie? Because they believe the destruction they cause is justified for several reasons. One, either they want to make money, they care more about themselves than the greater society, or two, they think their vision of the world is better than yours, which is once again about them.
But that's so interesting because they obviously used to be, for the group, for the leftist kind of perspective was the union, the people, but that's completely shifted. And I think
yeah.
that's why I saw someone tweeting about this, that they wanted libs of TikTok censored because they used to have the working class union man, and that has been the power of the left, and they are losing that fast with these people
Right.
seeing what is going on with these like hardcore individualist liberals in schools.
You have the populist expanse on the right is resulting in some left economic policies finding their way to conservatives. You now have Tucker Carlson bringing on the guy who formed the Amazon union and saying, good for you. Amazon's a big evil corporation. And I'm like, I agree with Tucker. I think Amazon is absolutely terrible. We're all addicted to it because of its convenience, but boy, are they nasty. And so Tucker is now like, I've disagreed with unions in the past, but I appreciate you guys sticking it to the big evil corporations. And then you have the left cheering for Saudi Arabia, cheering for China, cheering
For Disney
Cheering for
today
Disney.
in the
Disney,
house.
yeah.
They're like, give them tax cuts. what is going on?
That was amazing. So the House voted. You know what? Do we have this one? I don't know
Yeah,
if
get
we.
that video up. I'm gonna go get some alcohol.
I don't know if I have the video pulled up, but in the House in Florida, they voted to take away the special governing privileges and tax privileges from Disney, and the activists were like, "No,
Give the corporations power.
Give the corporations
Mickey Mouse.
20% off their taxes."
The
It's like,
Colorado governor wanted to bring Disney to Colorado. He was like, "Hey, we'll set you guys up." And basically, what I'm thinking is, yeah, right. Like if Disney goes to Colorado, spends billions of dollars building Disney World Plus or whatever they want to call it, And then a new governor gets in and is like, we're shutting down Disney's special privilege. And like, what does this guy think's going to happen anyway? He wants to bring him out there and give him access to build nuclear power plants again. I'm not seeing it.
So this is the video we have here from Twitter. It's about in the House, the Florida House was voting to strip Disney of their special privileges, which would be like their special governance abilities, their ability to police or build nuclear power plants, and special tax privileges. And we ended up with this protest. Let me make sure we have the audio appropriately configured. All right, you can't really hear them, but they're apparently chanting, "This is good trouble. This is necessary trouble." This is from a reporter from the Orlando Sentinel. So you actually have the left. They are in the chambers protesting that one of the largest corporations in the world is losing a tax cut.
Good. They're allowed to do it, and I support the right to do it. I don't agree with the message, though. I think that they're cultists for the corporation, and they probably have Mickey Mouse plushed animals on their couch and stuff.
We all recognize their right to protest. We are pointing out the psychosis that is occurring when the left is like, corporations should have tax cuts.
People are obsessed with Disney, dude. Some people are.
It's a mutually... Oh, sorry, Ian.
No, they're truly... It's like a cult of Disney. They have stuffed animals of Ariel the mermaid and stuff. Like, what the heck?
I would say it's not exactly that. It's almost this mutually parasitic relationship. The left sees Disney as a vehicle for promoting their ideas, and Disney believes that they can extract some profit from left-wing audience members if they promote those ideals. And as soon as either doesn't need the other or they rise to power and get what they want, they're going to throw each other under the bus.
Yeah, it's tough to tell what these specific people, what their intentions were. I don't know if they were trying to support evil.
No,
or
they were
just
saying it was
sad.
racist.
What?
What
a shock.
So I guess this protest wasn't actually about Disney, though. So I think this one, there was a protest. I'm pretty sure there was a protest about the Disney thing. Apparently, this one was from the Black Caucus or something in Florida. I think this is not actually.
Did you just give me fake news? If you're going to be fake news, you have to go.
I think it was
Today,
more.
Disney was protested.
I can send you the video on.
Let me see if I can
Twitter,
pull up.
'cause
Not
they
Disney,
were
gentlemen.
chanting "Fight back, fight back"
What?
at the.
Yeah, but I think
Disney
that might
event.
have been something different, maybe.
No, let me grab.
Disney
grab
is
it for you.
way too powerful. They're way too.
Yeah, see if you
I
can
don't
find
even
the
know
video.
powers.
Yeah,
They're way
I'll
too
send it to
wealthy.
you.
Oh, they're way too powerful. I hear
I
you.
don't know if power is the right word because money isn't going to get
What
you
I
what you
what
need
I
these
what I
days.
saw on Twitter earlier was people saying that they were protesting the Disney thing, like the Disney vote was happening. But the Orlando Sentinel says they were protesting something that would remove black Democratic lawmakers or something like
So
that.
you guys think we should break up Disney, the monopoly? Is it a monopoly yet? It owns Marvel. It bought Maker Studios after I was building that thing.
Okay.
Well, so right, FloridaPolitics.com says House passes bill ending Disney Plus carve out, gavels out amid protests.
Okay, look at what I just sent you. Sorry.
Oh, I can't pull it up on this computer. Can you tell me how to find it?
On Twitter,
Yeah, what's the tweet?
I'll retweet it.
Listen to that. Dead space. Hot air.
Sorry, I'm
Who
so
owns-
bad with interrupting.
Who owns Disney? That's what I'm looking up
Oh,
right now.
what's your
Oh, at Lauren_Southern. This was all an elaborate plot to get people to follow my Twitter.
Worked
underscore?
I
Yeah,
can't
you know
believe you're
what?
still on Twitter and still verified.
Vote on these two bills.
I don't know how.
It is my hope that we will be able to proceed civilly and with decorum and with respect for one another. Read the next bill.
It's like the
By
1800s.
Senator Bradley, Senate Bill 4C, a bill to be entitled an act relating to independent special districts.
No, I think they're protesting something
No,
about.
independent special districts
No,
is
no.
the territory that Disney
Right,
is
but the
on.
people are yelling something about black people standing up and fighting back. I think what happened
So
is
it
this.
spilled into the second one?
Look at the headline here. House passes bill ending Disney Plus carve out, gavels out amid protests. You see what they do? They make the story about that, and then they say it's amid protest, so you assume the protests are actually about Disney.
Keep playing that video, though. Let's see if they are still yelling about... Oh, I can't hear it.
Yeah, I think the sound was cut.
I mean, look, she's making good
Representative
points.
Fine, you're recognized to explain your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I can't hear what they're saying.
They're
just
saying something
screeching
like,
into the
when
void.
black lawmakers are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. I wonder if there's a quote in here, because
Yeah. Okay, well, maybe you caught me on some fake news here. That's good.
Like, dude, if you're going to do fake news, you have to do it in the newscaster voice, Lauren.
No.
true.
I don't
That's
blame-
the mistake I made.
I don't blame you for it, because this is exactly what I saw as well. They're like, all of these people were tweeting, they passed the bill cutting out Disney's taxes amid protests, and you can't really hear what the protests are saying. And when you look at news articles that frame it this way, can we pull this one up again? When they literally say they passed the bill ending the carve-out amid protests, they're manipulating you into thinking the protests were about that.
I am not fake news. I am a victim of fake news.
Yes.
Yeah, really. I've gone through that a lot, writing articles with Minds in the early days. Like, at what point do you have to pass the buck or take responsibility when you read a fake article and then you present it to the masses?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they said the protests began as Democrats' debate time expired on the bill to pass congressional maps drafted by DeSantis' office. Democrats called DeSantis' involvement a breach of the separation of powers and argued the maps would reduce the representation of black Floridians in Congress. In a statement after the House adjourned, Sproul's issued a statement accusing some members of violating House rules and hijacking the process. So, yeah, what they were protesting was that the congressional map is going to cut out 2 black lawmakers.
Okay.
So we got taken for a ride by these headlines, but we caught it.
I didn't believe a word of it at all. You guys.
No, I mean, like,
were
we
the ones
corrected
saying
it.
Stuff.
Well, that's good why this is conversational. When you just have newscaster voice reading it, you don't get the back and forth, the real-time correction.
Well, see, typically what happens with us is I didn't pull up that story because I couldn't hear what they were yelling. So when you brought it up, I was like, oh, yeah, like I heard that too. It's a good thing we pulled it up, though, because now these headlines, I mean, come on, man, look at this headline. That headline is going to be on Twitter. Someone's going to see it. And that's exactly what happened with that's exactly what happened to me. I saw that and I was like, oh, yeah, I heard that. Those people were protesting tax cuts. And then you pull it up and you're like, they got me.
Yeah. Just reading past the headline is a superpower.
Where is Snopes when you need them,
Fact check, false.
They could have
were
put like
protesting.
amid war because we were talking about the war in Ukraine. We didn't mean anything about like what?
Right. That's something that you got to be
Like
really
big
careful
deal.
of
True.
too, because depending on what the headlines you use for stories are, so it's tough because I'll do YouTube videos that way when I'm trying to make a point about 2 things happening simultaneously or having some relationship. But you see how the media will do it. They'll say something like, Ian Crossland throws major fit as Sheamus steals Lucky Charms, and
Which is true.
You think Sheamus
did
stole
happen, yeah.
them, and that's why he's angry. And then you read it, and it's like Sheamus was 20 miles away when it happened.
Eating the Lucky Charms on video.
Oh, the best one. It was, what was it? Newsweek? No, I'm not going to say I can't remember who it was, but they
Newsmax?
published that a woman who criticized Putin had died. She had disappeared, been kidnapped, and died. And then when you read the article, her boyfriend had murdered her. But the headline and the photo was a picture of Putin and this woman.
That's intentional.
Whoa. Shout out to Media Matters. That article, they published an article saying, podcast host says something about gay marriage or whatever.
Timcast, they said it was like Timcast IRL host attacks marriage equality and says it leads to grooming. And it was part of a conversation that we had where I stated my position, which is that there is no such thing as gay marriage. Marriage is between a man and a woman. But the person who tweeted it out was basically trying to make it sound like Tim had changed his position on gay marriage.
Right, let me show this. So Media Matters wrote, Timcast IRL panelists attack marriage equality suggested has led to normalizing grooming. They show, here's the thumbnail for the video. It's me. And then they actually say, I think they said in the tweet, you got to watch out for these grifters changing their positions. And in it, it's like,
I can't remember if it was the Media Matters tweet or it was the first iteration of it I saw. I need to double check.
I wasn't on that show that night either. That's really annoying.
So it's like me saying the issue for
Not
me is
you,
it's not
Pat.
gay marriage or a slippery slope fallacy. I think 2 consenting adults is not the issue. Obviously, there's a lot of traditional conservatives who have an issue with that. I disagree. The issue is with children who can't consent. That's always been the point. It's like I literally we had a discussion with Jason Whitlock, and I'm like, I'm okay with gay marriage. I think it's a good thing. But like, I don't like the slippery slope fallacy in this context because I'm like, dude, if something is bad, it's bad. Then you don't say because of this might make something bad. No. Say no to bad things. You say okay to good things or to things that are in line with your values.
You debate them
Well,
too. That's what the
also-
show's all about.
Well, it's funny because after I made my point, which was absolutely correct and absolutely accurate, you said you disagreed with me. So they just as easily could have made the headline, Tim Pool supports our, lame left-wing position on this. But,
Fights with panelists,
fights. Yes.
Tim Pool
Seamus
defends
for being right.
marriage equality from
From
fascists.
bigoted conservative
Epic debate
theocrat
rages.
or whatever
That's what
they
they're
call
gonna
me.
find.
I gotta say, I'm surprised that this. Well, I shouldn't be, but I am surprised that this is like a headline. It kind of shows how not represented the average person is in media because, like, what percentage of the planet are Christians, Muslim? That
What are they,
all
like
of those
80?
people
I
don't
don't
believe in gay marriage. the majority anyways. So like, should it be that surprising that a host on a TV show would have a disagreement on this issue? Is that really worthy of a Media Matters article? Or are you guys just admitting that there is like no representation of how many people on the planet, Tim?
2.38 billion are Christians.
Wow. Yeah, now do Muslim.
Less than Muslim.
It's more.
Well, Lauren, I don't know if you know this, but the only reason that you could ever oppose the left-wing orthodoxy on matters of human sexuality is if you actually just like specifically hate people for being gay. That's it.
2 billion.
Yep.
So if you take Islam and Christianity together, we're talking about 4.38 billion people.
Did you pull up that
so
there's
the
more?
majority,
Majority of the earth.
of the earth, you can't have them represented. That is a shocking opinion to have.
No, look, Media Matters. I think they're allowed to have their opinions on whatever they want. The problem is that the headline of that article is just stupid.
Well, it says panelists.
It says panelists, and I think it was so it was Alec Brusowitz and Sheamus.
But no,
remember that show, yeah,
Alex
that was good.
agreed with you, if I'm not mistaken. He said that he believed in this fictional concept
I'm okay
known
with
as gay
yes,
marriage.
Brusowitz said, "I'm okay with gay marriage personally." Okay, whatever. But the stuff that's come after it, it's been messed up.
So I was the person who said the true things, and
So-
you guys got attacked.
Well,
the
I
true
think
things.
Truth is an illusion.
right.
Truth
I'm
is
sorry.
subjective.
Is
We
that
had-
the truth, Ian?
I'm not sure.
We had Jason Whitlock on. He said he disagreed with gay marriage. We talked about it. I said I thought it was a good thing. There are many people that were formerly Democrats that when this issue was settled, they were like, I can vote Republican now because that was a big deal for me. Now, I think if you want to talk slippery slope, the issue is if it's bad, and you call it bad. I don't think it's a slippery slope to be like consenting adults can do what they want. Children can't consent. They never will be able to, and you're not going to change that no matter what.
Yeah, so and this is the thing, I would agree that it's a bad argument to say this thing which is like otherwise good could lead to this bad thing, so we shouldn't do it. I mean, my argument is that marriage is between a man and a woman, and because enshrining these unions which are not representative of that and erode the family, incorporating those into our definition of marriage legally is a bad thing to do. It will lead to other bad things.
And what were you going to say, Lauren?
Oh, I can't believe how left-wing your take is.
I know.
Marriage is obviously between a Christian man and a Christian woman.
Oh yeah, you're talking about Christian marriage. So there's legal marriage, which is just a legal union. You go down to the courthouse, you sign some papers, and then you have the joint bank account, and you don't get taxed when you give your wife $600,000. But then
marriage exists
there's Christian religion, which
Christianity.
It's like a
Marriage-
spiritual blend. Yeah.
Well, there's sacramental marriages. Yeah.
And you got to define what you're talking about when you're comfortable with who can do it, because like. Legally, everyone has the right to get married. I mean, I think for the most part, every adult in this country, right at the moment, has the.
There are some
ability to
states
marry.
where. So this is actually funny. 'Cause I think my brother was looking into this. What states in the country allow cousin marriage? What states allow gay marriage? And what states allow gay cousin marriage? And I think New York might be the only one. I don't know. Let me see if I can find it.
Wait, that allows all three? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's just two.
Have we really reached
Oh, yeah.
equality if people can't marry their dogs?
No.
No.
Oh wait.
First-
Yes.
Maybe?
Maybe.
Wait, hold on. In Arizona, first cousin marriage only if both parties are 65 or older?
Wait,
or one
what?
is
Because they're not gonna.
What?
Because they're not gonna have kids. They're afraid of inbreeding.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Arizona
that is
with
so
the
gross.
eugenics.
That's super cool.
So I think.
Not eugenics, but that.
Yeah. Look.
So
Look.
true, Ian.
New York and California allow you to gay marry your cousin.
Wicked. I mean,
Why do they make
wild.
fun of Alabama?
Like your first cousin?
Oh wait, hold on. So what? Let me see if I can pull this up.
Yeah, where's
So in the South you can gay marry. Actually, no. Hold on. Let me see by state. Let's see.
Well, wait a minute.
Well, I suppose because the federal government, Supreme
Yeah.
Court has ruled. So all that you got to do is look. You can see South Carolina, Georgia. What do we have? Is that Alabama? Which state is that one? That's Mississippi, right?
Yeah. Mississippi's on the left.
I don't know these puzzle pieces.
Puzzle pieces. And Florida,
Oh,
they,
that's right, you're
they,
Canadian.
they do allow. Oh yeah, Alaska, Hawaii. Surprisingly, you can gay marry your cousin in a large portion of this country.
Wow.
But it's
At
most.
last.
There's interesting questions there about the challenge of the libertarian argument. So we were talking about the moral foundations the other day, and one of the moral foundations is like, would you allow two consenting adults in any circumstance, their own private, life? And the argument for gay marriage was always like two consenting adults in the privacy of their own home can do whatever they want. It's like, what if it's like a daughter and a father?
Yeah.
No, because of inbreeding, it's dangerous, at least from what we know about scientifically.
Well, I don't think the danger
Liberty
is
argument.
even for the child. The danger is for the kid that would be in the relationship with their father. Like, forget the whole eugenics stuff.
If she was
like, holy
18, I
shit.
guess. If she's a consenting adult.
Yeah. Well,
But I think there's like, I don't know the science on inbreeding, but I know that historically it can get pretty bad. I had a mouse that inbred with its child and had another mouse that had a breathing problem.
That is
and I
super
rest my
gross.
case.
source.
I don't know. Joffrey
So wait,
from
hold on.
Game
You
of
guys
Thrones.
you had mice that you had as pets that were basically
They just
know,
kept breeding
Uh,
and breeding, and they were breeding
gross.
with their kids.
My
and all that.
source, the British.
Yep.
Although I think humans came from inbreeding each other, eating a bunch of mushrooms and inbreeding. So maybe just the weak inbreds die off, and then the healthy ones create a new species.
So why do you believe that? I'm curious.
Oh, it's just
why
a
do you
thought
believe
of
that's-
maybe.
In
this
Rhode,
is the
in
Stone
Rhode
Age theory
Island,
of
you can
Terence
gay
McKenna.
marry your dad.
In what?
Rhode Island, you can gay marry your dad or your son. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, no, I guess you can't get married. It's weird. Some states, Rhode Island has repealed its criminal incest statute. Seems kind of weird to me.
This is very complex.
But there are real challenges to the libertarian argument because, as Ian was mentioning, there's risks. Like there's a reason why you don't do it. You had deformities and serious problems, and so that's why there's laws against it. But I genuinely think as we move towards this anyone can be anything and do whatever they want phase of reality, or like people are trying to create, you're going to see a lot more of this. I'm willing to bet that we're 10 or 20 years out from consenting adults can do whatever they want in any capacity.
It's weird how the pendulum swings. It's how that's like a weird part of reality. Like the kings of old, they would marry their daughter to their cousin to keep the bloodline, what they would call, I don't know if they would call it pure, but it was to keep like all the money in the family and all the power in the family, basically.
I believe the ancient Egyptians would do that with their royalty as well. I'm curious how common that was
yeah.
among royal families
King
in
Tut
different
apparently
cultures.
was really sickly as a result of that.
Oh yeah, siblings is also.
Yeah,
uncle and niece is illegal. They say individual statutes vary widely. Rhode Island has repealed its criminal incest statute and only criminalizes incestuous marriage. Ohio targets only parental figures. So that means a brother and sister, I think, would be allowed. Two brothers could gay marry.
That's okay. That's really interesting. So you've got the
Disgusting.
laws around like, okay, you don't want to have incest because obviously that's going to cause problems with the kids. But then you look at people who have like serious diseases, genetic diseases that they
Right.
can pass down to their kids. Like, do they outlaw them breeding? Do
No,
you...
that's what the Nazis did.
So therein
No,
lies.
but like that there's the problem. So if you're going to ban these people from it because of birth defects and problems, then why not ban people with diseases that they'll pass down?
and that's the argument the left will come out when they say you're a fascist for not allowing brothers to love each other.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
think
not-
more of wrong makes it the other wrong better. You just don't. You want less wrong stuff.
Also, this is not an argument from like moral foundations or anything, but one objection that comes up in my mind immediately is that who was related to whom. You know who the siblings are. You don't go around doing genetic tests of everyone to know if a person has a disease.
No, in Iceland they do.
Oh,
Yeah, they have.
interesting.
They have an app where they have to. Have you heard this? In Iceland, they have an app to check to make sure you're not cousins. Because it's like an isolated population.
Oh.
Yeah.
I saw a Reddit post the other day where someone was like very visually disabled, like, arm issues, face issues, like, so you could see it like right away. And she put a little TikTok up that was like, oh, people told me I shouldn't have kids, but I did. And she's holding her baby, and the baby is clearly very deformed too. And all of the people on Reddit were like, you shouldn't have, which was very interesting. So like,
Yeah, this conversation's been happening since
Lauren
the beginning.
brings
I
up
bet.
a really, really great point, but that will bring us to a strange position. What is the argument for the laws banning parental or lineal or direct family relationships? And it is typically because of the likelihood of the increase or the creation of deformities. But then you argue, do people who already have those deformities have a right to have kids? And they do.
yeah.
So
Well,
I think
there's a good argument to be made. Nature did not intend for people to reproduce or procreate with their siblings. I don't think there's an argument to be made that like nature didn't intend people with disabilities to procreate.
Wait, say that again.
There's a good argument to be made. Look, nature did not intend people who are directly related to procreate. I don't think that there's an argument to be made that like nature does not intend people with disabilities to procreate.
Because most people with disabilities today wouldn't even survive in a natural state without our extreme scientific like inventions that keep them breathing and going into hospitals every day. So like nature literally intended for them to die out.
So I would argue that a person should not get married and start a family unless they are in a position to take care of that family for themselves. But if they are able to do that, it doesn't matter if they have a disability or not. It's their choice.
I think tribal history was very incestuous. When there was only like 12 people, they would have to. There's no other choice. And that's kind of where it all began.
We've really gone down the rabbit hole.
Let's climb back out.
So speaking of, look what Disney's done to us.
Guys,
you should be
okay, all right. Can we just talk about something serious for a minute? We have this story from Live Science. U.S. government reported proposed nuking the moon. Newly released documents reveal. Seamus, why is the moon flat?
Tim. U.S. government report discusses plan to nuke the moon.
My name's Brandon Spector. In our latest report, the U.S. government has proposed nuking the moon. Newly released documents reveal.
The moon may be hollow.
So, this is a real story.
What are they trying to find out if it's hollow or how hollow it is? I should say.
Hold on. U.S. government report proposed, but they proposed nuking the moon. Is this like the big ask? You propose the
they just want to land
version
on
of what you want, so you could end up with something less extreme.
Instead of McDonald's on the moon or something.
I actually think if I were to run for office, it would be in the position that we should nuke the moon.
So tell me more about this. Why are they doing this?
They say include nearly 1,600 pages of reports, proposals, contracts, and meeting notes, reveal some stranger priorities. A Department of Defense program that ran from 2007 to 12, but only became known to the public in 2017. Blah, blah, blah. They say new documents suggest they were more than investigating the entire cache of documents, yada, yada. Perhaps most intriguing. Look how long you have to read.
Okay, yeah. So the document here says, let me read this quote.
The various advanced technologies, the collections include transversal wormholes, stargates, and negative energy, high-frequency gravitational wave communication, warp drive, dark energy, and the manipulation of extra dimensions, and many other topics that will sound familiar to fans of science fiction.
Hold on. I have this. So the proposal says people are talking about cousin marriages. It's time to just end it all. Let's nuke the moon. Honestly.
There you go. Yeah, that's it.
Nuke the moon.
Let's go deeper. Transdimensional waves. Is that what they said? Well, so they're doing like
I
CERN.
saw something about pregnancy down there.
What is so?
Oh, is that where the aliens made people pregnant? Yeah, unaccounted for pregnancies. Did you guys hear about this? They say the latest FOIA document dump arrived just 3 weeks after British tabloid The Sun obtained more than 1,500 pages related to alleged UFO encounters cataloged by the AATIP. Including among the documents was a report on the alleged biological effects of UFO encounters on humans. The report listed paralysis, apparent abduction, and unaccounted for pregnancy as a side effect.
Yeah, right. They just didn't want to talk about it. They're like, oh, by the way, I think I had sex.
It's like some woman cheated on her husband, and then she comes back, and he's like, aliens, how did you get pregnant? She goes, aliens. That explains it.
I just pulled up that they looked like they were trying to nuke the moon to tunnel through it.
Why would they want to tunnel through the moon?
I don't. Build
to
bases,
get
probably.
To the demons.
To get to the
Seamus,
other side.
You gotta have my back here.
Why
Aliens
do you
or demons?
assume that you can just say anything, no matter how ridiculous, and I'm just gonna have your back on it?
Do you not think aliens are demons?
That's beside the point.
I think we're aliens.
A question.
Oh yeah, so like a lot of people are actually reporting on the release of these documents. We have this from the New York Post as well. Crowd control heat weapons, killer space lasers. All right, I'm listening. What is this? It mirrors an energy source to fire lasers, atmospheric absorption scattering, and it's blowing up a missile or something. Well, that's fun.
Maybe they're doing a bit.
So they can spray a laser into the atmosphere and then make it spread out when it hits the atmosphere?
No, it's focusing. It's all the lights are pointing together, so the single point.
You know what happened? Someone got drunk at NASA and forgot to write up their proposal, and they're just like, I'll write something so effing wild that no one will question it.
It's like the craziest cultists are in the government. I mean, they have all the power in the world, literally. They're the most powerful people in the world, and like, who knows if they're dropping acid and taking mushrooms and like what? They really probably believe it's real. I mean, a lot of people do.
He microdosed and went a little over and then wrote this plan.
You know what happens? We're victims of our own storytelling. So, what happens on YouTube is... we'll use furries as an example.
Oh, yes.
This is my opinion on furries. I think the reason people identify as furry is because they grew up watching Looney Tunes and anthropomorphized animals. So they want to then, when they're older, they dress like cartoon animals. I thought about this because I realized, like, you see these memes about furries, and I'm like, they're not dressing like animals. They're dressing like Bugs Bunny. And, like, the big white hands and everything sometimes.
They're dressing to hook up with Lola Bunny.
It's
the amount of
right.
people that
So
Lola made into furries.
Depending on who you ask, like we've had people super chat and say it's not about just like sex. It's about being it and being that thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's because they watched anthropomorphized animals as kids. If that idea didn't exist, they wouldn't have it. So what happens is you'll get someone, 1947, and the government's like, if they find out about our nuclear, programs, it's going to be bad. So just lie and say it's aliens.
So turn them into furries so they won't know anything.
So then the media reports aliens. Some little kid reads it and goes, whoa, aliens. Grows up believing that story and then enlists to join the UFO program, genuinely believing it was aliens the whole time and they're being lied to. And then they tell people, I've seen some weird stuff, man. I think it's aliens. That kid then grows up being like, whoa, aliens are real. The guy from NASA told me I better go work there. And it perpetuates amongst ourselves.
Bob Lazar is notoriously made publicly humiliated basically publicly by saying Zeta Reticuli and the aliens he saw. And I think that was just red herrings that they fed him because they're like, if this guy, they tell their scientists this stuff.
Lying.
So if they ever go rogue, then they're going to look like idiots. If they actually knew they were working on drones.
He said he saw a little green man.
Yeah, they probably had literally a stuffed animal sitting in it.
They won it at a carnival, and they're like, they put it in the ship.
He changed his story later to be like, it was a puppet.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay,
gaslighting them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No kidding. I don't doubt the drone program, though. Tesla was working on some cool technology, and I think it was the FBI that went in there and took it. Nuke the moon.
Do we have to?
I think we want to nuke the poles on Mars, isn't that
Mount
right?
Rushmore on the moon.
Yes.
Mount Rushmore on the moon.
But whose face?
Oh, carve it. Yeah, no, we just
Trump's.
put Trump's face on the moon. Quite frankly, I think it looks better.
Stay seething for eternity.
Okay, all right, let's compromise. We nuke the moon to make an engraving of Trump's face.
There we go.
Oh.
I wonder what
can
Media
sign
Matters
on
is going to
that.
say now.
Yeah.
They're going to be like far right calls for nuking the moon
good.
to create a portrait of Trump.
Yes.
And they're right. They're absolutely correct.
Yes, and if you would like to help us on our mission, become members at timcast.com. It's the only way we'll do it.
We should crowdfund.
I mean, yeah.
Can we nuke?
Can we crowdfund to nuke the moon?
Yeah.
There might be laws against that.
I think
Nuking
that
the
would
moon?
probably not be legal.
We better
Why
get
not?
No,
asked-
you can't nuke other countries, but the moon isn't a country.
Yeah.
Should it be?
And you know what happened? All of the flat earther people who think the moon is a space station to spying on us would be like, yes, I'll give you money, please.
Yeah,
There was
do it. Do it.
Did you guys ever
Try.
hear about that guy who built his own rocket ship and I think he died?
Huh.
Yes.
Sounds about
Imagine
right.
I don't hear about this.
It was like he was like a flat earther or something. Did he?
Oh my gosh.
Wait, no, I think I don't know if that's that guy.
Killed in homemade rockets.
So what was?
Well, there's a lot of guys
Oh
who made
my-
homemade
I
rockets,
mean, many
but
such
there was.
cases.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I
this
think
guy.
this might be it.
Yeah.
What did he do? No, this was just a daredevil. I don't want to disparage this guy. He was just trying to do it. But I read a story about a guy who like made his own rocket because he wanted to prove the Earth was flat or something, and then he died.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I
Flat
think,
earthers are funny, man.
Physics is pretty cool.
A guy made a rocket and died. Physics is cool.
No, I mean it's he thought the Earth was flat. I'd say go with the physics on this one, guys. It's round. It looks very spherical from space and through measurements.
Have you
of
ever been to space, Ian?
Horizontal longitude and latitude.
Have you ever been to space?
Not consciously.
Then
no.
how do you know then?
I've seen pictures.
Pictures? How do you know they're not
I've
just
seen
fisheye
video.
fisheye
Well,
lenses?
I've seen streaming live from the ISS. Like,
fisheye lens.
you think that they're not actually streaming
I
live
think
from the
Earth
ISS?
is round, bro. But this is the point that they make.
Okay.
Ever been to
Exactly.
Antarctica?
Can you? Yeah. Have you ever? Are you really sure you're you? How do you know what you are, Tim? Like,
Have
come on,
you-
guys. At some point, physics is real.
Right. That's not my point. My point is when you talk to flat earthers, no matter what you say, they have an answer.
Yeah.
You're like-
That's why I don't talk to them. No, I do.
You
talk
don't
to
want to
them.
be debunked.
I don't
You're
try-
too scared.
I don't
You're
try and change their mind.
terrified
They'll
of
debunk your
debating
YouTube
them.
videos. Yeah.
What
They-
it used like
they're-
tens of thousands of years ago, they thought it was really flat. They thought it was on the back of a turtle or something.
No.
It is on
Different
the back
cultures
of
have
the
had
turtle,
different-
excuse me.
On the
Yeah.
back of a
And
turtle.
they were like, if you sail too far west, you're going to fall off the earth.
Yeah.
So they didn't. And then one
No,
day,
I don't think that's true. The story is that Eratosthenes accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth by measuring shadows at two different points at the same time or something.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the flat earthers are like, how was he able to coordinate that? How did he do it? If he didn't have a cell phone? And I'm like, oh, geez, people couldn't communicate over long distances back then. Like fire didn't exist, smoke didn't exist, and general timing didn't exist. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, he had two towers. He measured their shadows and said, here's how you know how big the thing is we're on. And then apparently we never thought the Earth was flat because as soon as we discovered seafaring, you'd see things go over the horizon. Boats would appear to go down as they got to the horizon too far away, and so they were like, we're on a big ball.
yeah, that must have been super ancient before they even realized like the horizon bends when you look out at the ocean to
That's
the
the
side.
turtle shell. You guys
That's
are
the
gonna be
shell.
so mad when you
Turtle
find out
enough.
we're on a turtle.
Thank
Like,
you.
can you imagine? Like you
Yeah,
die.
what
and
is
just
what is
show
the
it to
turtle
you.
on?
I would be stoked.
Lauren,
What
is the turtle on?
It
Are you
is
joking?
floating
Don't say
in-
LSD.
Because it's obvious.
Yeah, don't tell me this turtle's on DMT. What's sustaining this turtle?
It's called the
floating
it's
in
called the world
void,
turtle.
and it's the energy
Curious.
of our
This
collective.
is an actual
On a bunch
theory.
of elephants.
Or
Duh.
hypothesis.
That's what Carrie
Ian,
Pratchett says.
Ian, you are so dumb. You
Come on,
didn't know
Ian.
this.
Look at that discus Earth.
Did you
amazing.
not?
It's a flat Earth attached to a space
Elephant.
turtle.
Where does that come
And a
from?
turtle.
Is
It's
it?
an elephant on a turtle.
Is
No.
this Hindu?
I like how
No,
the I like how the
this is
moon
actually-
is still a sphere, and so is the sun.
Why?
Yeah, don't
Cosmic
ask me.
turtle.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's Hindu mythology, and then we enter the Kali Yuga, and the world turtle flips around or something. And
Is
then,
that what happened?
I don't know.
Interesting.
Dude. If I died and then like could see the world turtle, I'd be stoked.
I got a
I'd be like,
question.
it was a turtle.
If you guys could either watch the formation of the solar system in as fast as you wanted just to see it happen, or have a conversation with Jesus, what would you pick?
Jesus.
I talk to Jesus. Yeah,
He would tell
we
me.
pray. Yeah.
Jesus would tell you all about all of that stuff.
I would watch the universe personally. What would you said?
Jesus.
Yeah, but tell you what though, exactly. I don't know. I feel
Tell
like he
me
was
about
just
the
a guy
universe
that got
forming.
taken out of context.
Well, I guess it depends in what context are you talking to Jesus. Like right now,
yeah. If you could just have a real conversation with him while he's
Jesus
alive.
is God, right?
No, like
So,
go back
so
then and,
basically,
like,
what you're
talk to him.
saying. So basically, what you're saying is you're not talking about conventional prayer. You're saying you ask God any question, He gives you the answer.
Yeah, like
Is
if you
that
could go back
basically
to,
it?
like, 3
like you don't like guaranteed it's going to be. Yeah,
If
you're
you
not
could go
gonna
to
be fooling
3 AD,
yourself.
like it might make Christians no longer Christian if they meet him. They're like, whoa, he actually is just a guy. Like if you could go back to 3 AD and sit down with the dude and talk to him. Or
Well,
whatever,
under
when he was 24 or something.
Yeah, I'm sure a bunch of saints got persecuted, boiled, and hung for just a guy.
Yeah,
I
this
heard
guy,
that
yeah.
there was there's a
guy.
book about it actually that the Roman emperor at the time and a bunch of Roman oligarchs made Christianity to disempower the Jews because they had too much power.
But
I'll
wait,
bring up
that
the
is
book.
such
No,
a
but-
wild
All right,
explanation. I
hold on,
don't
hold
think
on,
there's
hold
any
on.
scholar who agrees with
to
that.
get to your actual question, you have to have. It's like, would you want to talk to a guy people think is God, or would you want to see the universe form? Those are two very, very distinct questions. Well, obviously, I would like to have a supernatural experience watching the formation of the universe. But if the premise is that Jesus is God, I'd be like, I'd much rather talk to Jesus.
Well, there's no premise. That's why I just asked the question blandly like that.
So you need to ask the question. So you have different belief structures, obviously.
That's why I'm
Like,
interested.
for people who believe Jesus
Yeah.
is God, they'd be like, I would like to talk to Jesus.
Yeah, I would think
For
so.
you, when you're like, it was just a guy. It's like, well, that's a different question. Dude.
I don't know if he was just a guy, but I'd still rather watch the universe get formed because I don't know if it was a binary star collision or not.
Okay, so you watch the universe get formed, and you don't really get too many answers. Okay, great, it formed somehow, science, whatever. Giant turtle. But you get to talk to Jesus, and you get to find out the fate of your soul in the afterlife. Like, why wouldn't you?
Well,
I want to find
you don't
out
know
if
when
it
he
was
tell you.
a Z pinch that caused the sun to like overcharge itself and then spit out all this matter, or if it was a binary star collision that caused it to arc
And
out
that's
and
more
create
important
Saturn.
than your eternity.
Yeah, but what's
Yeah.
the
Well, I love-
guarantee that Jesus would tell you about your eternity? I actually
Well,
think
that's all he
it's.
talked
He'd be like, I don't know. I think about the universe forming too. I wish I could go with you.
I kind of think that God or Jesus would say, you need to live your experience and live your life, and
Well, no, that's my point. Is we can pray now and ask God questions now.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, but I think you get an answer through your own human filter.
I think people can absolutely pray and deceive themselves and think they're hearing from God
Can
when
I-
they're just hearing from themselves.
Can I
think it's
just
true.
choose to believe we're on the back of a turtle?
Yeah, I mean, Tim, look, you can
I
choose
think that's
to
called
believe.
psychosis.
This just in: the universe has been discovered to be on the back of a turtle. More at 9:00.
I guess what is evidence really? Just agreed upon information. No one.
Oh,
really
it's
can
held up
prove-
by elephants.
Yes.
Yeah, elephants on the turtle's back.
That is crazy. Like, why?
That's
Somebody
way
was
better than our
smoking when they
current.
thought of that. They're like, the Earth is flat. And they're like, it is. Yeah, held up by elephants. Where? What are the elephants on?
Here it is.
A
This
turtle.
This book that I mentioned is called "Creating Christ: How Roman Emperors Invented Christianity." When I heard that, it was just like a couple weeks ago. Someone mentioned it to me. I thought that is not far out of
Why
the question.
would
Can
they-
we? Can
It
we?
is very
all
far
in
out of the question.
favor
The
of
historical
the
consensus
Jewish-
Can we
is
get a
completely
vote,
against that.
guys? Can we get a vote? All in favor of giving Ian title of blasphemer?
Well, think about it logically.
Everybody's
the,
yes.
the Jews at the time had massive political power, and the Romans were really authoritarian. So
Yeah,
I could see they would
why
stop
would
at nothing.
They
You could
allow
make
the
anything.
Sanhedrin and the Roman government to destroy what they had created for the purpose of getting rid of the power of.
I don't know
Jews
anything
in
about the
Rome.
Sanhedrin. When did it get
That's
created?
like the powerful Jews in Rome, from my understanding.
I
Maybe
don't
I'm
know.
just using big words like Bosch.
Tell me, blaspheme for me more, Ian.
Oh, let me tell you about it. So I
No,
think
but why would they destroy what they created and allow the group they were trying to destroy through it to do that as well?
I would imagine because it was generations later and the people were changed at that point. Maybe
Okay.
people were like, wow, what have we done? Let's rectify or stuff like that maybe. I don't know much about what you had mentioned. What year was, what years it all happened? This is the purports that it was like in 70 AD or something that they did this. I don't know if we can really serve these conversations very well without scholars.
That's also what I'm saying is I'm not just talking about Catholic scholars. The scholarly consensus, atheistic or otherwise, is that Jesus Christ existed, right? I believe he exists, but there are no scholars. I mean, mythicism is a fringe position. Mythicism is the belief that Jesus didn't exist. He's completely fictional. That is the slim minority view.
Yeah,
among
I think
biblical
for
scholars.
I would imagine he existed,
Okay.
but they call it the Roman. They call it the Roman Catholic Church.
Yeah, it's based in
Rome.
Rome.
Dude.
It's based in Rome.
Rome was the empire. Like, why does the empire have a religion?
Let's
Well, it
let
doesn't.
me pull up this story that is directly related to what Ian is talking about.
Yes.
Timcast.com reports Boston police launch hate crime investigation after teenagers attack white woman with braids. The attack is the latest in a series of crimes committed by juveniles in the city's District A1. And I would also add, this has nothing to do with what Ian was talking about.
Yeah, but you're right on
Great
the money.
segue. Awesome. Killed
I
it.
was like, can I do the worst possible segue possible?
I loved it.
I thought this story was interesting because we've been seeing an increase in crime. We've also been seeing wokeness going crazy. So when there was a report that they're like, it's racially motivated because the woman was white and she had braids, these guys basically attacked her because she was culturally appropriating braids. And the city's saying it's a hate crime.
Is that what it's? Can you read that bit?
So they said the Boston police are investigating a possible racially motivated crime after a group of teenagers attacked a woman in the city's downtown. The headline is a white woman with braids.
But was it because she had braids?
That's the initial reporting I saw. They said police noted in the report the woman was in distress and highly animated. Oh, here we go. The girls allegedly punched and kicked the woman and pulled her by the hair because she was. Here we go. One of the victims said a group of girls called her a white expletive with braids who should not wear her hair in that style because she was not black before assaulting her. The girls allegedly punched and kicked the woman and pulled her by her hair.
Okay, so if this never actually happened and instead a leftist invented a story of this happening to a black person, like completely fabricated a hate crime like this, it would be in the national news cycle for days and days.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk about this.
I always like pointing out that Bill Maher, a week after Covington was debunked, still maintained the lie. Because the dude just doesn't know how to Google stuff.
I get nervous about the term hate crime. It seems like it's too subjective.
I like that it's finally being used both ways, though. Like, there was just a Calgary police tweet where it was just some graffiti that said, like, F white people shouldn't exist anymore. And they're, like, investigating a hate crime. And people were seething, molding in the comments. And I was like, well, you know what? This is where we're at. It should be fair. If they're going to investigate it one way, they have to do it the other.
But that is giving in to ridiculous laws.
If they make
I think we should have equality. If you attack someone, you attack them. If it's just like, well, we think you did it for a specific reason related to like how they looked, now you get worse punishment. I'm like, no, dude, assault is assault, battery is battery. Motivations, it's weird in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't like hate crime laws.
I remember that New York subway attack like a few weeks ago where the guy shot like 26 people or something. No one died.
10 people, I think.
10 people, okay.
Terrible aim.
They were like, we're investigating this. This is not, but we believe it is not an act of terrorism. I'm like, what? The guy terrorized everyone on the train. That's terror. I don't care. Use the word or don't, but it's like that they're using that word like hate crime, terror attack to make it more dangerous. But it's like, how do you know?
What's crazy is every headline would be like, oh, if it were the other way, right?
Yes.
Like a white guy who shot up the place, they'd be like, if this were a brown man, they'd call it a terror attack. Like
That's so true. That's
every
so true.
time.
Yeah, they're very reluctant to apply that label to anyone who isn't white, basically.
I don't like it. The terror attack thing is new, 20 years new. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, it's terrorism, right? If I understand properly,
So
the
is George
actual
Washington.
technical definition of terrorism is you're trying to use fear to get people to comply with your political motives.
But it's
This
so
guy,
subjective.
This guy
Acts
had
of violence.
posted. This guy had posted a bunch of black nationalist stuff.
Yep.
Like the
Antifa, remember the Antifa guy who had the 9mm with the drum, and it was like in Ohio or whatever. Do you guys remember that? They said that it wasn't politically motivated. They said it wasn't leftist violence, and I'm like, dude, I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
If a dude's posting crazy Antifa stuff and then goes and shoots people up, my only assumption is this is his driving motivation.
Yeah.
The worldview he lives in. Now, was the reason he pulled the trigger was to enact communism? I don't know. He was a far left extremist who engaged in
Yeah,
activism.
he definitely intentionally set it up and did it.
Well,
Okay, sorry, I was thinking about that. You can literally be a terrorist as long as you're on the left, though, and they just won't mention it. Do you know Dr. Tedros, the head of the World Health Organization? I just found out last week he was literally a member of a banned terror organization.
What?
Yeah, the Tigray People's Liberation Army. Look it up right now. Dr. Tedros, he's the guy who we got all our updates from the World Health Organization on
group called?
COVID. People's Liberation Army. Go to his Wikipedia and look at early life, and it just says that he was a part of this little group, the Tigray rebels. And then if you click
He
on the
denies
group name,
supporting Tigray
no,
rebels.
he was literally a part of their political party for years. He was even been accused of supplying arms. They killed a bunch of people. They were a banned party in Ethiopia
right.
for terrorism.
Tedros was a member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the leading group in a coalition of movements known as the Ethiopian People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, in a successful bid to overthrow Mengistu Haile Mariam.
Now click on Tigray People's Liberation Front. Notice how they don't mention in that sentence at all that it's a terror organization.
Oh, no, it's an ethnic nationalist
Yeah.
organization, paramilitary group, and banned political party.
Can you imagine if any of us were a
Spicy.
part of that, what our Wikipedia page would look like? It sure as hell wouldn't be a single sentence not mentioning ethnic nationalist, terrorist, or banned. But they just, it's
Well, I mean, they
he's
included
the
it.
head of the World Health Organization. That's insane.
that is.
I think
that
about
is
like
unbelievable.
Forgiveness and like
Well, it's not unbelievable.
when someone's
to be honest, but-
radicalized. Who was it we had on the show? When someone's radicalized when they're young and they're in terror organizations.
Oh, Majid.
He was
Yeah,
a
it's probably
young.
Majid.
Majid Nawaz was
yeah.
like for like 10 or 12 years. He was like a hardcore, basically doing what this guy was doing, and then snapped out of it and was like, and basically now he's talking about de-radicalization and stuff. He's talks a lot about the Azov in Ukraine and how if we're funding that, we're funding a radical ethnic, cleansive group. So maybe, I don't want to like this guy. I'm not a big fan of the World Health Organization, but I'm not. Just because he was in an organization when he was younger doesn't mean that
He
he's a bad
wasn't
person.
younger. He was like a politician, a part of this group, like an adult. And the point isn't even like about him personally. It's the fact that this isn't mentioned anywhere.
Yeah.
That he can become the head of the World Health Organization with no fuss about the fact that he was part of a terror
Oh, yeah.
organization.
Majid Nawaz talks openly about his experiences. If he was hiding it, that'd be a completely different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. No, it's insane.
Don't put the
And
camera on me. I'm eating
well,
maraschino
I mean,
cherries.
Mel-
No, try to drink your drink. Sorry.
yeah. I mean,
No, I'm eating maraschino cherries.
Of course. Yeah, drink your drink.
What were you going to say, Seamus?
well, I was gonna mention something earlier, but
Seamus
now
wants to
this
talk
is just
about the IRA.
I would
good.
exactly. Hold on.
I do too.
I knew someone was gonna go there. I don't know what I'm doing to invite this kind of
What's
hate
that?
in.
What's that orange?
It's nothing.
on-
It's nothing.
Yeah, what is that? I only see
So
green.
anyway, no, I mean, of course, this guy's Facebook page, as you mentioned, or his social media accounts were filled with a bunch of left-wing rhetoric, and their argument is, I don't even really make an argument about it. They just don't say anything, but that's ridiculous. I mean, if somebody committed a massacre and their social media was full of them posting things like, the goblins watch me and like the voices tell me to shoot people, we wouldn't assume that that was unrelated to them going out and hurting people. And yet when someone's posting like incendiary, insane left-wing rhetoric, that's just not even a potential motivation for why they would go out and kill people once they do.
Look, I can't speak for right-wing channels. I don't know. But when you have these prominent left-wing podcasts just outright lie about all of this stuff, they'll be like, you'll mention this, and they'll be like, no, he isn't. You'll be like, he's a member of this group. No, he's not. And you're like, I'm reading about it right now. Like, no, you're not. Like the Taylor Lorenz thing is just,
Yeah.
hey, they linked to her private address. No, they didn't. Yeah, they did. It's not her home. Okay, well, it is, but it's also her work. I guess it's her work address. If that's your argument, no, they didn't.
No,
It's
they
been
don't.
debunked, Tim.
They don't do that. Doing
It's just like, what's the point of even trying to
So
talk to these
annoying.
people? I'm just going to say right now. I've said it before. I'll say it again. What's the point of negotiating with someone who will look at, like, they'll look at this bottle. I'll say, I have a glass bottle. And they'll go, no, you don't. Like, I'm literally holding a glass bottle. No, you're not. Okay. Well, if we can't agree on something I'm literally doing, then I don't know what's the point of talking.
only to measure emotions, to like tone them down or tone down yourself, only to listen to their feelings. It's most about feelings with people like that.
Now it says that Tedros was a member of this group, but what does it say about Lauren Southern?
Okay, let's not read my. We don't read my Wikipedia page, okay, Tim?
This is good.
Should I read it?
Sure.
Lauren Southern is 26.
Wow.
Ancient.
Way too young.
The 90s.
A Canadian alt-right YouTuber.
What does that even mean, alt-right?
I mean, it
Whoa!
used to
Let
be
me
called
Did they take out
nationalist.
white
Alternative?
nationalist? They took out white nationalists since our last episode.
Congratulations. Look what happens when you highlight alt-right.
It doesn't matter. How nice. How lovely.
Man. Wow.
That's why-
Wikipedia is a joke.
Yeah.
But
Wait, what does it say about South Africa up there? Something about
which one? This one?
She has been described as an advocate of white genocide conspiracy theory for her documentary Farmlands. You know what? The conclusion of Farmlands is that there isn't a white genocide, but that we're approaching steps where we have rhetoric in government saying we need to kill white people, which I think pretty fair, right? If government elected officials are saying we need to kill Boer, that's steps
They were
towards
singing it.
genocide.
They
Yeah.
have a song.
So like they say I promote the conspiracy theory, which I don't, but whatever, you know.
I've heard a lot about it. This is the farm attacks where white farmers were getting attacked in South Africa because they thought you're colonialists and we kind of thing.
Yeah, there's like massive groups, the EFF, Black Land First, that literally just advocate killing and taking the land from the Boer. They have songs about it that they've sung, like full-on hate speech, farmers just getting murdered on their property for the crime of being white and owning land. Like, it's horrendous. And, you know, racism is a problem all around in that country amongst all groups, like different ethnic groups, like within just the African context. Tribal groups are super racist against each other. That's like very much a norm there, unfortunately. But like, to not acknowledge that it's happening in a political context is wild to me, especially in the West. It's so obvious and out there too. 1 second of Google, but I guess as you mentioned, Tim, these people don't understand how Google works, I guess. They don't have access to their own computers.
Or they just lie.
I have a slightly off-topic statement I'd like to make. Seamus, you said earlier that you're from Ireland, or your family
No, I'm
was from
not.
Ireland?
I'm not.
No,
This
I'm
is the
joking.
thing. Why are you doing this
My
to me? People
question-
are gonna like start calling me a poser. I never claimed this.
My question is, it sounds like Ireland is how you would say
hashtag.
the word island with an Irish accent.
Ireland. Oh, it's an
I'm on
Ireland
the
over there.
island.
Oh, it's interesting.
Is that real?
I don't know.
Oh, that was my question.
I don't think
people
so. I
from
can
the
double check. Let me
Ireland.
look
It
up the
sounds like
etymology.
an
All
old
right, I got a
British
chest
Irish.
here. Come out, ye black and tans. Come out and fight. No, you're not
Fight me
fans?
like a man. Is
Yeah,
that
there
what
we
you're-
go.
come on.
He's a
Yeah.
terrorist.
You're from
We all know
Chicago.
that.
That's no. I just know Irish songs.
I
Make
love
you
Ireland.
terrorist, Lauren. What the heck?
Yeah.
Rude.
What? Why? What are you doing? This is unbelievable.
How do you
This
know that
slander.
song, Lauren?
I want to let everyone know that I was just smeared by white nationalist Lauren Southern for my
Oh
ethnic
my
identity.
gosh.
Yeah, I watched it happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like 6 feet away.
As a non-white man.
Definitely.
It's very offensive.
Definitely the British were like, those are people on the island.
There was a meme recently released. They can track the data of on Google the most searched countries within countries in Europe, and it was showing like, oh, Ukraine is being the most searched country outside of people's own country in every country in Europe except one place, Ireland. And guess what their most searched country was?
British.
Never. Always watch your back.
That's
It
right.
was.
Wow.
Their most
Man.
searched country
Dude, they are
was
part of the
England.
British Empire. They're like under the boot of the British Empire, basically.
They're
They don't
watching
want to
their
be.
back.
From what I can tell, a lot of them
Never
don't want to.
ease
So
up.
what is it? I mean, there's the IRA and the Irish. Was it an attempted revolution that they wanted freedom from Britain and like half the country got it and the other half is still British?
I don't know.
So-
Lauren's the expert on this.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
The I am by no means anyway an expert and know very little, but you know, Ireland was enslaved by the British for 800 years. Was it
Long
800?
time, yeah.
yeah, British colonists.
Yeah, and so they were like not happy with it.
Yeah,
but
pretty upset about it. Lots of Catholics killed. Lots of.
but
people
the
starved to death.
North was the Orange is like the Orange Order. I think that's something to do with the Dutch, doesn't it?
I thought it
Something
was
like that.
Protestant.
Yeah, that's
Protestant?
my understanding. Is that the Orange always represented the Protestants, the Brits.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Now, you know, I was there with you, wasn't I?
Yeah, when they were doing the burnings.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really wild.
And the peace wall makes no sense.
But you guys were in
Like-
Ireland together.
We were in Ireland.
No one invited
on-
me. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You know, it's
Well,
like
it was
Sheamus is
on that day
humble
where
hug.
they,
We'll
what is it
accuse him
called?
of being some kind of Irish terrorist on the podcast, but to actually go to Ireland now, he doesn't need to go.
Well, no, they were burning the Irish flag on these like giant pallets, like built insanely high.
Yeah, like
Right,
40
it's like
feet.
July the 7th or something. I can't remember, but it was like a
Bonfire Day or
Northern
Bonfire Night.
Irish holiday where they just like burn effigies of British politicians.
But
and Irish
the
politicians
peace
and
wall
stuff.
made no sense because like one side was like pro-Palestine and one side was pro-Israel, and you're like, what does that have to do with what's going on?
It's the foreign funding going into each side.
No, it's just tribalism.
Yeah,
It got to
yeah.
the point where this is what that one dude was telling us. He was like, if one side adopted a principle or idea, the other side would take the opposite just for the sake of taking the opposite.
Well, then, yeah, they had
I've
like
seen that happen.
Obama and Nelson Mandela on the Irish side of the wall. And then they had, all this like right wing stuff on the Northern Irish side. It was really weird.
Does
I
that
remember that.
come from like trying not to hear people not to go to the other side? You're like, no, everything they're saying is wrong.
No, it's
Don't
like,
even
it's-
think about
it's-
it.
It's like right now,
Yeah.
when a leftist will say to me, Washington Post didn't dox anybody. And I'll be like, here's a link to them doing it. No, they didn't. It's like they just have to say that because they're in a cult.
They go, I know you are, but what am I? Like, wait, what?
And I'm like, dude,
Sorry,
you're in
they
a cult.
doxed
I
this
got no
guy.
point talking to you. All right, how about we do this? I'll talk to you. We'll go to Super Chats. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and let's read what y'all have to say after that particularly raucous conversation. Rilo says, why is Trump talking smack about CNN Plus when I can't even get into Truth Social? Whatever, man. Ubuntu 22.04 is out. Ian, Fedora, or Ubuntu?
I haven't used Fedora. I really have liked Ubuntu in the past, so Ubuntu.
What?
It's a operating system.
Yeah. Only the cool kids know about it.
Linux. Yeah,
Right,
you wouldn't
Linux
know.
is way
It's
better.
for cool. Only cool
Well,
guys
then.
use
Ubuntu.
Linux. so
It means
it's no big
something
deal.
like love of the community or something.
Yes.
It's like an African
Something like We
concept.
Are One, right? Yeah.
Stephen Valdez says, are we seeing the beginning of the end of woke? I wouldn't count on it.
Humanity to others. Just Googled it. That's what
Oh,
Ubuntu
right.
means.
Ubuntu.
Nobody? Yeah, no.
Wait, can you repeat that? I'm sorry.
Are we seeing the end of woke?
It is both the end and the beginning, my friends, and forever it will be.
Leftism never goes away because it just means social decay, and everything humans make breaks down eventually. What we can do is try to be productive people and stave it off, but it's never gone forever.
Lua Coder says, don't forget that Trump's Truth Social has already flopped before it started. They violated the code license of Mastodon when they claimed it was their own proprietary code.
Yep.
Well, that is true. I will say Ian called them out early for it before they launched, but was correct when they launched. They did not admit to it. That's my understanding. And the platform's just been...
Yeah, people have had a hard time getting in. They're on the wait
They're
list
like,
for
hey,
months or something.
You want to follow the president? I do. He ain't here. Like, okay, what am I doing?
Not allowed on Twitter. Not even allowed on his own website. It's hysterical.
Yeah. Mike Sullivan says, rather feed the chickens. Well, it is true. I'm pretty sure over $2,000 today on Chicken City. It is the number 31 most super chatted show in the world in 1 month.
We had a great chicken party before we went live. It was
The
really
babies!
exciting.
Baby's first chicken
The
party.
babies got released for the first time. Finally out of the brooders, and they're running around and they're all flapping their wings for the first time because they were really cramped in there. And then they had two chicken parties.
Oh yeah,
Two whole parties. It was good fun.
This house is actually run by the chickens
It's
now.
true.
I went downstairs and it was just chickens everywhere. They
not
wouldn't
far
even
off.
let me.
We are averaging at this point probably like $1,300 per day. Like tax day was really low. Nobody was super chatting because everyone's like groaning. But today with the amount of money that came in, it makes up and bounces out. So it's probably like 1,500. Yo, Chicken City is going to fund so much.
I was gonna say you're gonna get to a point where Chicken City is making more than Timcast IRL, and you guys are gonna start getting like Wolf of Wall Street psychotic about it. You're gonna be like, "Dance, chickens, dance!"
No, it's going to be the opposite. The chickens are going to be running the roost. You're going to be like, can we please be on your show? I'm going to be begging to be on Chicken City.
I'm actually willing to bet. But listen, you got to understand. Chicken City is like, it's almost like ASMR with the nature sounds.
Good.
Dogs and cats love it. So people turn on their TVs and leave, and the dogs just watch the chickens. Kids like it. We're launching, we just put up a first cartoon short gag, which is a family-friendly humor. It's called Everyday Life Living with a Rooster. And it starts with chickens like,
Is this the one that we improv'd with
yeah.
the eggs?
And then when the
I
chicken
just start
tries talking to the
screaming?
rooster, he just screams and won't
No,
shut
don't
up.
give away the punchline. That's our brilliant writing. It's my brilliant writing.
Well, it's funny, but the gag is that Rooster is just always screaming nonstop.
Yeah, it's actually not a gag.
So
too.
you joke. Yeah, it's not. It's like, it's true. You joke that we're going to make more money on that. I got to be honest. I think the market cap for family-friendly content is much bigger than politics. So
Get the chickens
yes.
doing toy reviews. Then you're really.
Oh my gosh.
We're
what if
doing-
we do unboxing videos of chickens? We take the new chicken.
Unegging videos.
we are launching merchandise for him, and each of the main chicken cast will have their own shirt. So there will be like a Margaret shirt, a Vanessa shirt, a Katerina shirt, a Carol shirt, a Sarah, a Roberto, and a Roberto Jr.
This is just like a spin on women who make cats their children.
Well, we just making funny stuff. And then there's
it.
Margaret has 2 babies, and they're called the twins,
so
Maggie and Bernie.
my
But because they are identical, we just call them the twins. But then there's 2 Black Star girls, which are also the twins, but they're black. So I was like, we can call them the Black Chicks, or we can call them by their names, Crow and Raven. But we can't call them the twins because the twins are the other ones who are a little older.
I would veer away from calling them the Black Chicks.
Oh no, I meant
Yeah,
that
that's not
literally.
good.
I can
I
tell.
like that.
I, like they were young chickens and they were black.
No,
I
call
didn't
them
even-
the
you were
white
completely
chicks.
right the whole time. Hey, by the
Like
way,
the
the chickens are
movie.
grooming themselves hard right now in Chicken City.
Oh my.
All right, let's read more Super Chats.
Anyway,
By the way, Lauren, I don't like the comparison between cats and chickens on any level. Someone who owns chickens is not the same as someone who owns cats. It's not even.
I suppose
comparable.
chickens are productive.
They're
workers.
productive and cool.
Actually, I
So
like
this
calling
is
them
just
the Black Chicks.
slavery. No.
Yeah, if
Well,
the more chickens you
listen,
own, the
listen.
more likely it is you have a family.
Lauren,
as
listen.
opposed to cats.
Right now, the chickens are in a protective pen. There is currently a pandemic right now among chickens.
A pandemic.
And in exchange for safety, we've locked them in a box. They're not allowed to leave.
So true.
Got to put some
This
masks
is a
on those
benevolent
chickens.
Yes.
slavery.
And we get their eggs.
That's right.
Lord Carvanite says, hey, y'all, quick question about taxing people less for having more kids. My uncle can't have any kids because he's diabetic. How would he be affected by this tax? Love what y'all are doing. Keep it up and smash that like button. Smash that like button. I don't think we should tax people who don't have kids. I think we should give tax cuts to people who do have kids.
Yeah, this is how it would affect him. He wouldn't be taxed.
Aren't they
less 'cause
doing
he
that,
wouldn't have
though, with
kids.
the
But
family
also,
tax
if he
credit?
got, I mean, if he was married and wanted to adopt, then I suppose it would affect him.
Yeah, I'm nervous about people having kids just to get the paycheck, though. I've
it
I've heard
happens already.
stories about people that do that just to
does
collect,
happen,
like,
yeah.
you know, what do you call it?
But I think
Social
there's
Security or
I think there's
welfare.
and I sort of hear you, but I think there's a difference between directly giving somebody income for having kids and allowing them to keep the money that they already earned
That's a good
when
point,
they're having
because
kids.
then it still incentivizes them to work.
And it's also like who has a higher claim to your money, the children you need to provide for or the government?
Let's read some more. We got Miss Melty Face says, Lauren is awesome. 3-drink Lauren is way more awesome. So before we record the members only, I'll just make sure Lauren pours more pappy.
It's propaganda.
Also, you know what that is, right?
No, it's kind of gross, to be honest.
Are you serious?
Sorry.
Oh wow.
That's a $1,300 bottle of whiskey.
That's what she grabs.
Don't force
That's
it.
what
She's
you
like-
grab. She
she's-
goes to gets the most expensive thing on the
She's
shelf.
pouring it in the
whiskey's
cup like
disgusting.
it's Jack.
Gross.
Alcohol's rotten.
Oh my goodness.
I got out of the sauna one night and I felt clean, you know, and I sipped the beer and all it tasted like was rotten food. I was like, what is this? And then a second later, I took a second sip and it tasted like
And that's
beer.
that's actually, I think that's 17. I don't. Maybe it's 13. It's the Pappy 12.
I am someone who can drink like a $9, $5 bottle of wine, and I'll be like,
Lauren.
No, more importantly, you're someone who could drink a $1,700 bottle of whiskey and not know it.
Lauren,
Amazing.
there is a bottle of corn whiskey up there that was $10.
Try that one.
It's all yours.
It's really good.
We should get that sulfate-free
I'll
wine.
love it. I'm
That's the
sure.
good stuff.
Corn whiskey. I got the corn whiskey. I was like, sooner or later, someone's gonna come here who has no idea what any of this is, and they're gonna drink the $10 corn whiskey.
we
There's
found
also
her.
colloidal gold over there. I got a little bit of you can drink.
That's what Ian brought to the.
I'm totally into it. I think it helps your neurons become superconductors.
Ardwick says, on average, Ian is a solid 10.5.
That's a little bit better than yeah. That's all I need.
All right.
For Shameless, the Irish hobo.
Shameless. RDC says to everyone, how much you want to bet that Fox will take back Wallace? Are you
Chris
quoting that very expensive?
So here's the thing. She said she was going to grab a drink. I said, grab me a cup. I didn't think she was going to get the most expensive thing off the shelf. As it happens, she did. And I'll be honest, it's
Here
been
I am.
enjoyable. It's nice to sip on.
You sound like
I'm
one of
not
the
trying to take
newscasters
more.
from the-
I think that.
Hey,
it's-
can you
And
hand me-
Lauren went and grabbed the most expensive whiskey off the shelf. More on the news at 9.
I
you
wonder.
hand me that?
I
I'm gonna
wonder
smell it.
how many
Got it, bud.
whiskey aficionados are face palming.
I
seeing
know.
the
Sobbing,
paper
yeah.
cup. And
Van
they're like,
Winkle.
what are you doing?
It's insane. It's
It's
insane.
just a woman moment. I naturally just
have
gravitate
glasses
towards
up
the most
here.
expensive
It's
item
my
in a
fault.
man's house and take it.
It's very pure looking. Look at that. That looks really cool. Wow, it's strong.
John.
It's
All
very
right, here's a good one. John
wow, it's good.
Morganier says, Tim, please stop saying John. You are 33 years old. 1, it's creepy. 2, I'm turning 32 this year. Get it right. So I make the joke where it's like I know the demographic, so I can look in the camera and say, John, you're a 33-year-old white
Oh
male.
my gosh.
And someone's gonna go, that was me. But I was like, no, I could also say Javier, you're a 27-year-old Mexican guy.
John's
and
creeped out, okay?
You could say Seamus. You're a 27-year-old.
Seamus. you are a 27-year-old white male and you are watching this show right now.
I'm
'Cause
actually Irish.
you know there's going to be someone named Sheamus who sees that. You know?
Who's 27? I don't know.
Yep.
I don't think there aren't that many of us.
Not too
Yeah,
many.
but in
I-
5
it is
years
a
there
weird
might
name.
be.
Ooh. It's actually not weird. It's excellent.
You're-
It's
you're-
so
you're
excellent.
time
They just can't
traveling.
go giving it out to everyone willy-nilly.
All right,
Seamus, you're
let's-
listening to this video again when you're 40 years old.
Oh my gosh.
When you're 80, Sheamus is going to be like,
I remember the good old days. After
All
I
right.
finally left Timcast, it was the best time of my life.
Seamus, you need to go back.
Oh
You
my
need
God.
to
Guys,
find
hey,
the stone.
Don't
and
listen to
return.
them. Don't listen to them.
you guys
Live
ready
your
for a
life.
bad joke?
Oh boy.
I think it's funny, but I mean like dark.
Oh.
Razgriz says CNN Plus being canceled after 3 weeks is fine because abortions are allowed up to 22 weeks in Georgia.
Oh my gosh.
I like it.
Oh, cringe.
Yeah, it's my seal of approval as a joke.
Oh
Well done.
my. Very dark.
Dark.
Ooh, yikes.
All right. 3Y, what does it say? Elite says, you guys need to watch Network, the 1976 movie. This is CNN's prequel, LOL.
They used to tell me I was that guy when I was making videos in the early days, 06, 07. Go to the Crossmack channel on YouTube if you want to see it. Man, I was like that guy from Network. I was like so red-pilled, you know? I was out of my mind, and I just didn't know how to express it.
Rob Matt says, please get Elon Musk on the show. Oh, let me call up Elon
Yeah,
right
just
now.
call him up. Yeah,
I will
set him up.
tweet. I'm going to tweet at Elon right now. I'm going to tweet. I'm doing it.
Yeah,
Here we
do
go.
it.
I'm
Tim,
on Twitter.
that's
I have
never-
1 million followers. I have 1.1 million.
You know what? To be
That's-
fair, he's been responding to like
Hey,
random accounts.
At
Who
You'll
knows?
see it.
Yeah.
He's watching.
That's never going to work.
Tom.
Tim, I'll hit him up. It's-
Oh,
on
okay, then
my
Seamus, look at it.
show.
Yeah. We got this.
They're
Thank you,
distant
guys.
cousins.
Thanks for helping
It
me.
would be like super.
He's totally gonna tweet
rad.
this, isn't he?
Yeah, this is good because we can talk about freeing Twitter's code.
There we go. I have officially tweeted that out.
I want to ask him about the birth rates. Let's go. Let's see.
There we go.
See it.
Now, there's a ton of like weird lefties on Twitter who are going to see that and have no idea what the context is. So, Hoppitarian on Twitter has tweeted at me to like tweet random nonsense to see what happens. He's like, Tim should tweet the and see what happens, and I do, and like people are like, I hate you. Ah! And then he was like, Tim should tweet cake and see what happens, and then people were like, pie, no, pie is not no cake. Ah! Twitter, where you go to get emotionally destroyed.
That's right.
It's just a hell loop.
Pearson-
Anyone who stays on that site.
Yeah.
You get what
Pearson
you
10
give,
says, my kids thought the Chicken City cartoon was hilarious. However, my 3-year-old did run around pretending to be the rooster all evening after watching it.
I'm
right.
so sorry.
I take that as a compliment.
That's great.
All right. Let's grab some more super chats. Get Rich says, hey, Tim, love what you were doing with Timcast. Very inspirational. Lauren, did you and Luke have a thing back in the day or Mandela effect? Thanks. I didn't screen that. I just grabbed one that said we're doing good with Timcast. So the rest of it, I didn't actually read.
Yeah, we dated briefly.
Oh, whoa.
Both awesome people.
It's like it just goes quiet.
Got
Well,
really
hey,
quiet.
I
I don't know much about
Just
it. Do you want to talk about your
chug my
personal life on the
power.
air?
I was actually going to take the opportunity to make fun of Luke because I like making fun of Luke, but I was like, wait, no, this might be. It's
Yeah,
not
there's a
right.
thing.
Evidence
love my
that we
manhood.
don't screen super chats.
Gene Wilder made a pretty good point about talking about your personal life and your private life, and they're different. And I like that. Private is like names and dates and addresses and stuff, whereas personal is like how you feel about what happened to you in your past and things like that.
Roberto Lara says Stelter was born in 1985. Ian, that was an awesome interview with Michael Malice. Drugs and God. I think Ian needs a show called In Ian's Mind or called Words with Ian.
Thank you
the
so
chat
much.
just exploded. People are like, LOL.
It's on Michael Malice episode 203. You're welcome.
All right. Patriot American says, hey, Tim, you planning on working with the Daily Wire on some of their shows? Would it be possible to invest in some kind of video game division? I'd call it Timcast Games. There have been a variety of discussions with the Daily Wire on a lot of the things they're working on. It's all I can really say. Obviously, if we're over there, what we do with the Daily Wire is very much aligned in terms of we want to change culture. They're different from us in a lot of ways, but we like them. They're fun people. And we've talked about shows, movies, books, and, we'll see. We're crazy over here. I don't think the Daily Wire would ever do something like Chicken City. And that's why we're different. I think we're much more, I don't know, is it younger? I don't know if younger is the right word.
I'm probably older than all of them, except for Clan.
Than a lot of them. Yeah. But I suppose if you look at the way we approach things, it's from a very different perspective or operation, but we agree on so much about culture. the Daily Wire is never going to set up a chicken coop and have chicken parties, right? But they're making movies, so they're taking the institutional hill, and I'm glad they are.
Oh, me and Jeremy are about the same age. Cool. He's a couple months older than me.
Oh, there you go.
I love that guy.
So I certainly think,
love you, Jay.
we'll see how things play out. We will. But big fan of the Daily Wire guys. Insane says, fan of the show. I have a suggestion for a guest, David Wood from Act 7 Apologetics. He got an incredible testimony, and I'd like for y'all to talk about philosophy and religion with David. Love you, Ian.
Love you too, dog.
Yeah, so, one of the things I thought about was like, should we have someone actually just poll like some of the best super chats? We talked about this a while ago. I was like, while we're doing the show, we should have someone actually take good super chats and get us ready for the best ones. And then I was worried that whoever did that would avoid spicier ones. Because obviously, I'll be reading one, I'll get halfway through and go, I'm not reading the rest of that. And sometimes I'll walk into traps like Speechless by Michael Knowles and things like that. And that's funny. So I didn't want to get rid of that. I wanted, just to... All right, let's grab some more. We got too many super chats today.
By the way, I'm familiar with Act 17 Apologetics. I haven't seen too much of their stuff, so I wanted to refresh myself. So I went to their YouTube channel, and they currently have 666,000 subscribers. So y'all gotta subscribe. Y'all gotta change that ratio.
What's the history of that?
I actually don't.
Number?
Is it irresponsible for me to tell people to subscribe to your channel? I haven't seen it in a while.
All right,
I think it's the wrong number.
Stephen Bordelmay says marriage is a religious custom that only became, I don't know what the word he was going to use, bastardized, when the state adopted it for the purpose of stealing more money from its civilians. I think the issue is that in this country, marriage is quite literally an Abrahamic institution rooted in the fact that this country was founded by a bunch of Christians, and it morphed into a state institution, but is still attached to the church. And that creates a very serious problem in this country. If you're going to argue the separation of church and state, well, then
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing. That was always my question when the Prop 8 thing was happening, because they had that musical where Jack Black is like, your nation is built on separation of church and state. And I was like, I mean, if that's true, what power does the state have to regulate an Abrahamic institution?
But is it though? Is it?
Is it what?
Is it really separated? Yeah.
No,
I
it's
think
not.
you're completely right.
Yeah. And so therein lies the big issue where I was like, how is the state going to mandate churches do a thing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Scientology's a church.
I think the problem was
possible?
the civil unions that they were talking about back with the Obama days in 2008 didn't offer identical rights between gay couples and traditionally married couples. And then I was like, you can't do that. And I think that was the argument they used to actually get gay marriage, because it was equal rights. But I was like, I don't know how you have we have an institutionalized religious component with marriage.
Well, did
Well, there
civil
is
unions
part of it is-
not have the same rights as a traditional marriage?
At the time, the argument, because Obama said he was opposed to gay marriage, and he said he was in favor of civil unions. But the activist
So
groups,
did Hillary. and all
right?
these
The activist
people,
group said that there were certain rights that were not afforded civil unions as opposed to marriage, and that's why they wanted marriage. And I just said, well, then get those rights to civil unions, and are we happy? And they're like, no, we want the institution. And I was like,
Yeah, well, they want the word, and this is the thing. I mean, marriage is so there are sacramental marriages, but also people who marriage predates the marriage. I mean, it goes all the way back to Adam and Eve, and so I believe and Christians believe it was created by God, but we believe in a concept of natural marriage. It's not that it's specifically in all instances something people do as a matter of their religious faith. It's just that it has a definition, and that definition is that it's a union between man and woman. That's what's one of the instrumental parts of what it means.
Kara May says, quote of the night by yours truly, Lauren, quote, have we really reached equality if people can't marry their dogs? Effing gold. Did you say that?
I think I did. The Pappies is hitting.
Yep.
I've said some wild things tonight.
We have Fireball downstairs. You don't gotta.
Uh-oh.
How about no one's cracked open that corn whiskey.
I just found
Yeah,
out
we
Waffle House is open 24/7 here, so I'm
Yeah.
going there after this.
There is a Waffle House very close by.
Seamus did crack the corn whiskey.
Seamus,
Here's a
do you want to
question.
drink the corn whiskey at Waffle House with me after this?
Are you out of your mind?
Yes.
You out of your mind?
Rob
Gotta get
Matt
that bag.
says, wasn't there incest in the Adam and Eve story?
So much.
I don't think so. No. So
Well, so the argument is that they had, what, 2 kids, Cain and Abel?
Cain, Abel, and I think Seth is also mentioned. I don't know if that's an exhaustive list, but yeah,
They had no
daughters.
daughters?
That's not a question I can answer. I'm not sure. I would need to double check. It's been a while since I've looked at Genesis. I believe Cain, Abel, and Seth are the ones that are mentioned.
Those are
but,
dudes, though, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So, did they...
No, I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
There's no mention of any other women, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't have an answer. I don't know what the significance of that is. It's not necessarily an exhaustive list, as far as I understand, of all the children that they have. Yeah.
But would that imply that
well, no. So we believe that Adam and Eve are the primordial, like they're the first human ancestors. That all human life goes back to the first two people. I'm not sure.
Incest. Two people isn't enough to create a population. That's the issue.
No, I hear what you're saying. I don't have an answer. I don't know.
It says that
the
sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, Abraham marrying his half sister Sarah, Lot and his daughters, Moses' father Amram, who married his aunt Jochebed.
Well, sure, and also be careful too, because I'm sure there's a list of a number of instances here, but just because the Bible is describing something doesn't necessarily mean it's condoning it. So you got to be careful.
Oh yeah, it's just explaining that it happened. I mean, that was
yeah.
out of necessity. There were like 60 of them. What are they going to do? You know, you got to propagate the species.
All right, what is this? Democratic Detox says Elon SpaceX will help you far-right news people make Trump's face in the moon. Oh, well, thank you. We'll consider it. Murph Try says, Tim, nuking the moon would lead to a Supreme Court case on citizens' rights to nukes under 2A. Let's see if they agree with you. Are you familiar with the Second Amendment, Lauren?
Am I familiar with the Second Amendment?
Are you? Have you ever heard of it?
No. That's
I say people have a right to own nuclear weapons.
Is that the Second Amendment?
Yeah. The right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
So true.
Does it say except nuclear arms?
The right to bear arms. So true.
Bear arms.
So true.
This is why Tim wants to nuke the moon.
That's why summertime is great in this country.
Bear arms.
Well,
if I cannot surgically have bear's arms put onto mine.
I already have bear arms. See, I roll my sleeves up. And that is my right.
Tim likes to bring people into this. It's because, from what I can gather, is that his belief is that technically, legally, we do still have the right. And if they want to take that away or change that, they need to amend the Constitution.
So what would happen if Timcast tried to buy a nuke?
I don't know, but I wonder if we got like the highest degree of licensing for an FFL. You know, what's the limit?
Cultural enforcement. That's when cultural enforcement takes hold if you start doing stuff like that.
Like, well, Halliburton's got permits. What grants them the right to have these crazy weapons?
Someone was selling a missile silo in like Kansas for $300K recently.
Yeah, people live in those.
Yeah, it's like amazing. You should buy one and have a Timcast missile.
What if I want?
And whenever someone doesn't agree to go on the show, you can be like, "Hey,
where in the country am I allowed to have surface-to-air missiles?"
Where? I don't know.
So the issue is, at some point, we culturally decided that people had no right to bear arms. And I mean that literally. We used to have privateers with cannons, and all of a sudden now you can't own a destroyer.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
I saw someone drifting a tank on Twitter yesterday, and it made me very sad to think I will never drift a tank unless I'm in an active war zone.
There's a guy over here who, like, not that far away, owns a tank, and he invited us out.
Is it like a working,
it's like
functional tank?
Yeah, it is.
So I could drift a tank, is what you're telling me.
You can buy a tank if you want.
Ooh.
Most women, girls, I'm told, like ponies and
Hey, babe, are you watching this? I want a tank for my birthday.
I would like a tank. Jay Stewart says, Discworld, definitely a cultural cornerstone. Also, death has bony knees. I didn't realize that, but I take your word for it. All right. I don't know if I should read that one. Let's see. Nona says, can you try to get Tim Keller on before he dies to counterbalance your resident papist? Is that how you say it?
Papist, yeah.
Who's Tim Keller?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
All right. There was something about a turtle that was really funny, but I think I lost that one. J. Doc says 11 of 12 apostles were tortured, burned, crucified, beheaded, stoned, drawn and quartered, all died for what they knew was true, not for what they believed. Interesting.
Yeah, I think governments are totally fine killing their own citizens to get their way sometimes.
Yeah, but the point is, why would someone voluntarily die for a story that they knew not to be true?
Well, I don't know if they voluntarily died. Didn't they?
Well, no, but they voluntarily. It's a question of recanting. So if you're martyred, it's because you refuse to give up your faith.
The person that told me that they didn't recant is the government.
Elwood Blues, quote, I want to ask him about the birth rates. Lauren, I have never laughed so hard.
When did I say that?
Were you talking about Jesus?
Did I say that about Jesus?
What was the quote?
I don't even remember what I've said on this
ask
show.
Him about the birth
Someone
rates.
mentioned I should get a sword. I do think I need a sword.
Yeah.
Is there like a breathalyzer for whether
I don't
I should
think
hold
you need a sword right
Lauren,
now.
The Zelda, the Master Sword.
Ooh, yeah. I like the really sharp one.
No,
though.
I don't think you can. No, I literally don't think you can.
Oh yeah, rules and regulations for streaming live.
But the Zelda one is a toy
a nice blunt and
from The
beautiful
Legend of
blade.
Zelda.
It's a toy. All right.
I have meteorite swords behind me. They're forged from meteorite. They're very expensive.
Serious question though: Link or Zelda?
What do you mean?
If you had to pick one.
What do you mean?
wait,
Like
wait, what does
pick
that
one
mean?
for what?
Yeah, you
Nani?
guys,
To
if
play
you
as?
can't answer,
or-
then you.
Oh, who's your
In
favorite?
Smash Brothers, Zelda. If we're talking about melee, where she can transform to Sheik because Sheik is good.
Absolutely. No, Meta Knight is absolutely the most OP.
Meta Knight's
Sure,
badass.
sure. But
Yeah.
that's Meta Knight's not in melee, so
I got to go with Link on this one,
okay.
just in general.
that is a Maul sword from The Legend of Zelda.
No.
I don't know what the sword rules are, but like the only stuff we display are prop stuff. Like I actually have.
So you can't display a real gun behind you?
Yeah,
wanted
you can't.
Really?
Well, I think you might be able to, but the rules are that display of firearms has to be in an approved setting, and you can't be manipulating or something. But I'm not entirely sure.
So why do I have a toy sword when Sheamus gets 2 steak knives?
Because I'm a trustworthy individual who has proven himself to expertly handle those steak knives.
steak knives were for peeling blood oranges.
Who do you think would win, Sheamus with 2 steak knives or me with the
It's not
Master
even a
Sword?
question. I would win. It's not
Depends on
even
how
a
much
question.
gravity.
It's not even
Like
close
what
to being
planet
a
you're on,
question.
all that kind of stuff.
All right, let's read some more super chats while we still can. Huh?
I only need one steak
I wanted
knife.
I wanted to see people talking about Lauren being drunk.
I'm not. I've had one glass
I don't
cup.
think she's drunk.
How was it, by the way, on a scale of 1 to 10?
Aowin says, "For my girl Lauren and
tasted like
Shimcast
paper.
liquor bill, drink that stuff, yo."
Oh man.
Yeah. You see how expensive it is hosting Lauren Southern.
Absolutely.
Oh man, she called beforehand. She's like, "I only drink Pappy."
It's an investment.
Absolutely.
Kevin Nilsson says Twitter comments to PolitiFact denying Biden shaking hands with no one is the funniest thing I've read in a minute. It was amazing. PolitiFact has a tweet that says, "You may have seen Joe Biden shake hands with thin air. Period. It never happened. Period." And then I'm just like, it is bold of them to say that you saw something, but it never happened.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
Ian,
There is no war in Ba Sing Se.
I am not holding up a pen. You may have seen me hold up a pen. It never happened.
Or hey, I've got a good one. I am not linking to her address.
Right. That's very good too. Same idea.
All right. Let's see if we can.
Wait,
We'll
actually,
grab-
I want to quickly correct something. You said it was
I'm gonna-
expensive to get me on this show. Do you know how much my flight cost here?
How much was it?
$34.
Very
What?
nice.
Whoa.
Yeah,
$34.
she's
It was
serious.
still
That's
too
right.
much.
Yeah.
All right,
honestly.
And not a single person. No, there was one person on my flight wearing a mask.
Yeah.
If
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Speaking of masks, my new cartoon. Watch it.
my
Oh,
friends,
snap.
if you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and if you want to see Lauren Southern wielding a $15,000 sword forged from meteorite, go to timcast.com and become a member. I think you wielded the sword last time
She
too.
did. Yes.
I did. Actually, it's going to be a video of Sheamus and I fighting to the death with the steak knives and
It'll
the
be great.
sword. If
No,
you go
that is
to
I
not
would
allowed.
never voluntarily partake in
But
something like that. It's an affront to
Lauren
human
will be
dignity.
allowed to wield the $15,000 meteorite sword at timcast.com for the member segment. So sign up if you want to check out that segment. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me at Timcast. Lauren, what do you want to shout out?
Oh, yeah. Go follow me at Lauren_Southern on Twitter. Lauren Southern on the YouTubes. Yeah, that one.
My name is Seamus Coughlin, which is super easy to spell.
Yes.
I have a YouTube channel called Freedom Tunes. Go check that out. We just released a cartoon today about the mask mandates being repealed for airlines. I think you guys are really going to like it. It's something like 20,000 views ahead of our most viewed video of the last 10 uploads. So the audience is really loving it. I think you guys are going to like it as well.
One of these days, I'm going to hold a crystal ball up to the sky and light a fire from a distance with it, with the sunlight, and prove to you that throwing fireballs is real. So we can reinterpret what like magic really is and stuff like that. See you later.
Oh, like a wizard's staff.
Yeah.
I wonder if back in the day, he like had a staff with a crystal and he held it up and started a fire and they're like, whoa.
Probably took a really long... He'd be like, I will attack you with my fire spell.
5 minutes later.
The
And
grass
he's
starts
like,
to
just hold
smolder.
still for
Yeah.
20
You
more
have, like,
minutes.
They always had, there were groups of them. They had like 15 guys all like aiming it at the same spot or something. The wizards.
Anyway, what Ian said was way more. Okay, Lauren has her sword all up in my shot. I appreciate it. It's gonna
Oh,
be a
is
great
it
after
over your
show.
skin?
Yeah, you can see it
Blade of
directly
wisdom.
on the camera, which is hilarious. It's going to be a great after show. Thank you, Ian, for completely throwing me off. I would now like to hold up a crystal and set something on fire. You guys can follow me on Twitter, minds.com, at SourPatchlets, Instagram at RealSourPatchlets, and SourPatchlets.me.
All right, everybody. The tweet I sent to Elon has already 607 retweets.
Yeah.
Retweet.
So Elon, man, I'm a huge fan. Would love
do
to have
it.
him on the show. So everybody, We will see you all over at timcast.com, and you will see Lauren Southern wielding an expensive sword made from meteorites. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all there.
Bye, guys.